Welcome to Fan4Racing Radio. I'm Fan4Racing Sharon, and joining me tonight are Chris Crichton and Jay Hughesman. And we are here to talk about Hot Topic Sound Off, episode 2521. Is there a rivalry brewing? And we have some stars rising. So we've got a lot to talk about here tonight. Who's going to start us off?
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and just start with the racing over the weekend. What are your thoughts about the LOIRP races, 2 races, and the 2 races at Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Chris, you go ahead and start us off with that hot topic.
Well, for the first 2 races, the truck race and the Xfinity race.
The ARCA race?
Yeah, the ARCA race, I didn't get to watch it all. The truck race, I fell asleep on the rewatch of that. And so I couldn't tell you who won. It was a pretty decent race. I love IRP. I really miss going there with the other series as well. The Xfinity Series race was all right. I was kind of disappointed in the Cup race, y'all. Seems like we're once again at another racetrack where we can't pass. And that's getting on my nerves. Not being able to have a green flag pass for the lead is nerve-wracking. That reminds me of all these other forms of racing that we, over the years, have really made fun of, talked bad about, because we're not that kind of style racing. And when I watched them, both in the Xfinity race and the Cup race, do the old dragon style coming out of the, I thought to myself, we're not IndyCar. Like that's not the style of racing, but that's exactly what we have here. We have this Indy style racing going on, this Formula One style racing, where once the leader gets out front, you're just not going to get around them unless you out strategize them in the pit stops and stuff. And I'm sure that there can be some argument to that. All in all, we walked away with this Dale Jr. type moment. People are going to be all on me for saying that because there's a certain side of the fan base that really doesn't like Bubba Wallace. And for reasons being, I can kind of understand. I don't want to get into that tonight. And as a matter of fact, I don't even want to release what ESPN said about Bubba Wallace being the first of this or the first of that. Like, I don't think any of that matters. What matters here is we just had a Dale Jr. moment where a guy who has struggled over his career over a period of time, and we've publicly watched him struggle emotionally, physically. We've watched this team be drugged through the mud by a certain group of people who believe that NASCAR is the holy and the teams are bad because they're standing up for a right to sue. So all of that played in, and they asked Bubba about that, about how he was able to like set aside all that and focus. And, I think it was just great for the sport yesterday. I think that it was great for the sport that somebody who's had a really tough time, who's not always been the top flight driver, got him a crown jewel. He got him a crown jewel. Like, you're not going to take that away. Bubba Wallace kissed the brick. So did Paul Menard, right? So did Paul Menard. But what made it full circle with Paul Menard is he started in IndyCar. He brought Menards to Cup racing. He brought Menards with him. And now we're so fortunate to have such a great sponsor like Menards that's been around for a very long time. But that sponsorship showed up because it was on the side of Paul Menard's on the side of his IndyCar. And then he brought it over to DEI when he took over the 15 machine. So to have Bubba Wallace win that race, to have the situation that the team's in, an open race car, I think that was good for the sport. I mean, it's just so good. It's good for Michael Jordan's brand. It's good for the team itself. It's good that, hey, David beat Goliath. David beat Goliath this weekend. Yeah. And I think that we're all focused on other things that are just irrelevant to the point. And I'm sure some will get mad and upset. Look, I shoot from the hip. I have been the biggest blaster of Bubba Wallace there was to ever be on this planet. And it's not for the reasons of most people. It's because I believe let's go racing. Like, we prove ourselves on the racetrack. We watched that with Dale Jr. I'm a Dale Jr. fan, a lifelong, from the time he was an Xfinity driver to today. I'm a Dale Jr. fan, so I had to take up for Dale Jr. too in those periods of time where he sucked. And everybody's like, oh, he ain't ever going to be his daddy. No, he ain't ever going to be his daddy. But you know what? He returned back to victory. He returned back to relevance in the Cup garage. And, a lot of that has to do with who he got paired with in the end. Bubba Wallace did not have a great crew chief up until this year. I love Booty Barker, but he was a second-tier crew chief. Obviously, the guy that we've got now behind the stable at 2311, behind the Bubba Wallace team, the 23 team, is he knows what he's doing, and we're going to give this guy a ride, and we're going to hope that this is not just a fluke. We'll hope that this is not just a Paul Menard moment, and maybe see Bubba go deep in the playoffs. For Bubba to win, it's good for the sport. It's good for the sport, not for all the reasons that other people believe. I don't want to hear one time about the color of his skin. I want to know that he's a race car driver. That's what I want to talk about. Bubba, the race car driver. All in all, I think it was a great weekend. It's a great weekend to make some tabloids. It's a great weekend to have a feel-good story. Are we focusing on that story? I don't think so, just as I don't think that we capitalized on the Katherine Legg story. This girl was running second, but we'll talk about that later. But for the whole weekend in the entirety, I want to see more passing. I want to see more racing. Crazy that Connor Zilisch got the 100 for Junior Motorsports. I've never looked at Dale Jr. and thought of him as an old man. For some reason, it was like he aged 10 years all of a sudden. In that moment, he looked like a 55, 56-year-old man, and not the Dale Jr., the June bug that we've known for all these years. But I tell you who looked like a very real young man, and that was Connor Zilisch. And to be such a young man and have so much talent. I mean, this kid has gone out, and not only has he proved himself on the road courses, but now he's winning at places like Indy. Y'all, I don't want a hot take. I just want to tell the truth. We may not be able to keep Connor Zilisch. I honestly believe, guys, that he's going to go to Formula One. And boy, if he does, that's going to be amazing, because that's the path that nobody wants to admit it, but Jeff Gordon did. That was the path Jeff Gordon wanted to take. And he wound up in NASCAR. Connor Zilisch, Red Bull, the wins that he's already gotten, he's this close to getting the super license for Formula One. Given the chance to go race for Team Cadillac with Bottas, I think that would be a great opportunity. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I know most people want him to stay here and become a Cup Series great. But if we got a chance to put an American with that kind of talent behind the wheel of a Formula One race car, I'm all for that as well. I'll pass the baton.
Oh, okay. Jay, your thoughts? That's okay.
Well, talked about Lucas Oil. I'm with Chris. That one has always been a favorite of mine. I wouldn't mind seeing the Xfinity back over there as well. But I thought that they did great. And actually, even in the years that the Cup level struggled at Indy, the Xfinity cars, I thought, were still putting on a good show. I know that was when we got into the Gen 7 car, 6 and 7, and then this next gen car, where I really thought, I was like, the Xfinity cars run great there. Why can't we go back? And that's one of those of, you can't unlearn and undo, what you've got at the Cup Series and brought to them. So you got to try and work with where you're at. They chose to go to the road course, and I don't think that was a bad decision, but I'm glad to see the oval track, the Brickyard itself back, not the road course. And I thought it was, this is where I kind of got to disagree with Chris I honestly didn't even realize there weren't any green flag, green flag passes for the lead throughout the race until I heard it on the radio this morning. That to me isn't what I use to determine a good race. And I know a lot of times that is what people want to refer to and see. Like I said, I didn't even realize that until it was on the radio this morning. So I don't feel like that detracted from it. I thought there were some unique strategies when they called it Team Penske strategy throughout. And we saw the fuel mileage. We saw some restarts. I know restarts is a big thing there for sure. So I still thought it was a good race. But I understand some fans, that's what they're counting and watching and using as their determination, or whether or not their favorite driver won, unfortunately. And that's just the way it is. And I'll come back to that of something from last week. I'll do that on the second go round if I remember. But overall, I thought it was great. Bubba Wallace winning. I know, like Chris said, from the sport aspect has its benefits. It's ironic that it is now with an open team. I haven't seen the numbers yet, and they brought it up. I hadn't heard anybody really focus on it, but the amount of money won versus what could have been had it been a chartered team. I had thought about that, and they talked about that a little bit throughout the day on Sirius XM radio. Like I said, I didn't hear any numbers or specifics, but that's going to eventually come up of what could have been had they been a chartered team. All sports all day. First open team. I know that is a history making. It was a first open team to win a cup race.
No, it wasn't.
I think this. Okay.
No, it wasn't. The 91 Trackhouse. Shane Van Gisbergen.
I guess you're right. I forgot about that they technically were an open team because they were a one-off. I mean, because that was during the charter era. So, we were wrong, all sports. I was thinking that too today as well, but you're right. Trackhouse,
but it was quickly, I quickly threw that one away.
Yep. I think this is the first we've had a weekly competitive team be considered an open, with that. So, but anyway, so I thought there were a lot of good things from it on the Xfinity side. I know we'll get to that. As far as a hot topic, had some issues that I think are going to be our hot topic for tonight and next week as NASCAR does their thing throughout the week. I think that'll be forthcoming. We'll get to that. But overall, I still enjoyed it. Going back to Bubba Wallace, I think he qualified third. This is one he has run well at in the past. That's about where he was all day. Did the strategy, the fuel thing, play a little bit in his favor. And again, held off Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin. I mean, I don't know what more fans want. I don't get it. As far as what you were saying, Chris, I understand, but just like with Katherine Legg, and we'll hit that, the facts are they are the first to do such. I mean, there's no getting around that. Do I want to see everything be about that? The fans do. I mean, it's history. I mean, you can't argue that. Like I said, do I want that to be the focus, or do they? No, not necessarily. And I know with women, we talk about that. They are just a driver. And I get that, but it is history making when it comes to that. No different than take Daniel Suarez was the first non-American to win a NASCAR championship or whatever. I mean, those are history making moments. So I don't have a problem with them stating it. I don't want that to be the focus of who they are, though. And I think we've gotten past that with Bubba Wallace.
I agree with that. I will agree with that. I think we are past that. I don't think that that Formula One used that to advantage with Lewis Hamilton. I don't think that motocross used that advantage with James Stewart. And so that's other forms of racing that have understood that, yes, there is the first for everything, but at the same time, they're referred to as race car drivers. I think that's the most important side.
Yeah, I think that's important as well. And I know from the female perspective, a lot of females don't want to be recognized as a female race car driver. They want to be recognized as a driver in the sport. So, I think that's a good point. As far as the races at LOIRP, I really enjoy that track. I've had the good fortune of being at that track and watching some of those races, and they are good. I love the Xfinity Series cars at that track. And but I thought the ARCA Menard Series and the Truck Series put on good races as well. As far as the ARCA Menard Series, Brendan Queen was pretty much dominating the race in the first half of the race, but Brent Cruz, they made some adjustments at the break, and man, he came back with everything and ended up winning that race. So it was good from that perspective, I thought. But second win for him this year. So I tell you, that has been a tough car to beat in all of the series this year. Joe Gibbs has really been doing some great things with the ARCA Menard Series car, and that car has been winning a lot of races. With regard to the Truck Series race, I guess it was Lane Riggs that won that race. He fended off some hard charges from other race car drivers, other drivers in that race, and I thought he did a good job of winning it. It was unfortunate the DQ for Stuart Friesen for being too low after the race. He had a third place finish and ended up in last place. I felt bad for him. And I thought I read somewhere where he's going to dispute the penalty. So we'll see how that plays out. Did anybody else see that?
I honestly hadn't looked into it. I hadn't heard it, but I hadn't looked into it either of if they were.
I think they thought that there was a reason for why it was too low. And so they thought that they would dispute it. So we'll see what happens there. Heinz Truck, All Sports All Day. I think he had something mechanically go wrong. And so he ended up falling off a little bit in that. And that's why after stage one, he wasn't doing as well. I thought I recalled that. Now, I just listened to all the races. I was on Sirius XM, but I thought they mentioned some kind of mechanical problem there. I could be wrong, but that's what I recalled. Jay, you're kind of thinking about
it. Well, I was going to wait until it came back around, but he did say in his post-race interview that he honestly, that was the first time he said, I think he said the first time ever he really didn't feel like they had a winning truck. That, I mean, it just wasn't as good as what they're used to, and their standard is a winning truck.
Right.
That it was just a little off. It wasn't necessarily that they had a mechanical problem. It was just a little off, and they couldn't get it caught up. That he didn't feel like they had a winning truck.
Yeah, in the Xfinity Series, I really felt like the Xfinity Series. We're watching history in the making with Connor Zilisch. He is just amazing for such a young kid to be so poised and so mature at his age. I think is really incredible. And I do think, he got the 100th win. I know Justin Allgaier wanted to get that 100 win. He is the kind of cornerstone of junior motorsports, having been the longest tenured driver within the organization. It would have been nice to have seen Justin Allgaier get that, but we'll talk about that later, I guess, too. But I think Connor Zilisch is pretty phenomenal, and I hope we do see him race in the Cup Series. I know the first race he raced in the Xfinity Series, my brother who comes over every week and we watch the races together, I told him, watch this guy. There's a good chance he's going to win this race, and he did. He ended up winning the race. And when he found out he was just 18 years old at the time, he couldn't believe it. So he is pretty phenomenal. And I will talk more about that later on as well. And I'll tell you, I listened to the races on Sirius XM, and particularly the Cup Series race. They made that race sound so fantastic. That it was pretty exciting racing throughout the pack. There wasn't just racing at the front, it was racing at the back, and what was going on with each of the teams, and the strategy. I love the strategy in the races. I really do. And I like seeing the different strategies and how they play out and what they're learning from the different strategies that they play. So I thought the racing was fantastic from what I heard on the radio. I know that in the Xfinity race, there's a little bit of a controversy with that race. But for him to beat Kyle Larson, you had two races. You had Connor Zilisch beating Kyle Larson in the Xfinity series. And in the Cup Series, it was Bubba Wallace had a 4-second lead. And because of the incidents that happened, we had 2 overtime restarts, and he beat Kyle Larson to win those races twice.
2 overtime, yep, 2
overtimes, and he beat Kyle Larson twice. So there's a lot to be said for that, I think. And I think it's pretty phenomenal. And he said it in his radio interview anyway, to be the best, you got to be able to beat the best. And he certainly did that. That's what Connor Zilisch did. That's what he did. And I think I agree with you guys. I think it's good for the sport when you have an underdog come up and win these races, in a crown jewel race at that. I was really hoping Chase Briscoe was going to win it. I was disappointed that Chase Briscoe wasn't up there. He had his hometown crowd there. They had a few interviews with him in the pre-race where he was talking about his sister got married over the weekend, and he was back for that. He had a lot of family and friends that were at the racetrack, and he was really, he had the family there, and he was really hoping he could put on a good show for them. So I was disappointed for Chase Briscoe. That would have been really cool for him to do it on the same weekend that his sister was married. But he was on the pole, and he's got a pole at Daytona. He's got a pole at Indianapolis, and he's got a pole at the Coca-Cola 600. So those are crown jewel events that he's got the pole. So everybody's hoping now that he will go and get the pole at Darlington when we race at Darlington a little bit later. So I think there was a lot to be excited about this weekend with the racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I like that track. I know a lot of people don't. I don't know if you've ever been there, if you've ever walked up to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it gives you goosebumps. It really does. There is an aura at that track, and I love it. And the fact that it's nestled inside of a residential neighborhood is just mind-boggling to me.
The town.
Yeah, it's
a town. You're literally on Main Street, and you're going down the front straightaway. I mean, it's
exactly.
Crazy.
It's just incredible.
Speedway, Indiana. There's the cops have Speedway police on the side of their cars. I mean, it's
exactly.
Unreal.
It's unreal. And so if you've never visited Indianapolis, I would really highly recommend it. And I was at the race where we had the 10-lap debacle with the tires. And it was really incredible. And I was at the race that Tony Stewart won, and I didn't want to leave until I saw him climb the fence. So I love Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that's what I had to say. Let's go on the second go around here. Chris?
I'm good. I don't know what else to add. Nobody really hit the topic except for Jay. lack of passing. I know that some races it's okay. You don't have to have 400 passes for the lead without having an entertaining race. I guess the only time that we did have passes for the lead is when Penske was blowing out right rear tires. So if you want to technically claim that as a pass for the lead, that's fine. But maybe that's why Jay was distracted by that, because he was paying attention to Penske blowing out right rears or something. I'm not really sure, but it does
Jay,
bother
in
me.
his defense, Jay did bring up the passing for the lead.
Yeah,
the lack of passing for the lead. He still thought it was an exciting race.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't defend that though. In reality, it's not just been this race. It's the entirety of the season. This goes back what we've already known about this car and the lack of being able, the ability to pass. Now, you could say a little something about how you pass somebody in the Xfinity series. If you want to talk about how Aric Almirola and Austin Hill handled their business on the racetrack.
Well, that's one of our topics. We'll get to that.
Or we could talk about the Xfinity series wreck between Kyle Larson and Justin Allgaier. I mean, yeah, it seems like there is a way to pass, but it's not going to be a good way. But for the gist of it all, just a historical weekend. I mean, that's it. Like, you've got a kid who's come out and done marvelous things in a race car. Don't know how it got that bad. Yeah. All sports, all day. Thanks for agreeing there, man. I mean, look, I work at a dirt track, and somebody said the other day, qualifying has led to follow the leader racing because you start on the pole, you win your heat race, and then you go out and win the feature. The days of passing and starting by drawing, and you had to work your way through the field, or you got lucky by draw, those days are hard to come by because racers don't want to race that type of program. But what it does is it doesn't bring entertainment to the fans in the stands. And anytime that you have lack of passing for the lead, it creates an injustice to racing. We don't want to watch a circus. We want to watch people battling for the lead. Sure, we can be entertained by the shenanigans of a Hill and Almirola, or the shenanigans of Kyle Larson diving it down in there because he doesn't really give way that other racers are racing on the racetrack as well. And whatever you may see it, honestly, it's just it's bad for the long term, and I think it's something that's definitely needs to be fixed. We need to find out why we can't pass.
Okay,
I'll pass it to you, buddy.
All Sports All Day says the strategy was everything. Like, if this race was watched with no audio, it would be the most boring thing ever seen. I get what Chris is saying. So All Sports All Day gets it.
I do need to add one last thing about what you said about MRN radio. Absolutely amazing. Like, if you really want to watch a race, if you really want to enjoy a race, sync your TV with the MRN or PRN broadcast, then you'll find out what broadcasting is actually about instead of whatever somebody had for dinner the night before. So
yes, and that's the only way I saw that race is on the radio.
You had a lot better perception of a good race than what we did, that's for sure.
Okay, Jay,
come on, man, crank it up. Crank the
lawnmower
up.
I'm just going to say this: if you want to enjoy the race, enjoy it. If you're saying I'm not going to enjoy, and I'm not
eat a burger.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jay.
I feel like, and this isn't about Chris because he's not the only one. I'll come back to that, but you're making up your mind beforehand. If there isn't X number of passes for the lead for under green flag, then it's not a good race. You just said it. If you want to enjoy the race, I enjoy the race no matter what happens. If it gets rain short, I may not like it at the moment, but I still enjoy the race. If Bubba Wallace, he ain't my favorite driver, wins the race, I still view it as a good race. If Fox or whoever, TNT, didn't do this, didn't do that, I still enjoyed the race because that is my choice to make. I am going to enjoy the race. I mean, go ahead, laugh. I don't care. I get frustrated by that. That is your decision as to whether or not you're going to enjoy the race. Did it have the most lead passes for the lead? No, it did not. That's a fact. I will not argue that. But again, I didn't even realize that, because that is not what I am looking for to check that box. Did we have X number of passes for the lead up front? Going back to where I was going to start. Normally it's Kyle Larson, but this week it's going to be Denny Hamlin. You can't pass. He started 39th, I believe. I believe there were 39. Are you telling me every car he got back was because they had a problem or wrecked out or he passed him on pit road? No, he drove his car to the front, up there in the top 3. Part of it was strategy. They thought they were in a good position waiting for everybody else to run out of gas. William Byron in front of him, and then Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace were close. But he got to 3rd by making passes. Again, was it for the lead? No. Does that mean he didn't make the pass? No. He just wasn't for the lead. One of the things, and it was actually about the bracket, and I know we're going to talk about that, but last week, Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds were talking about the bracket, whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, and what feedback they had been hearing. Larry McReynolds said, I've heard all good things. And again, when he says all, it's majority. I'm not saying there isn't any. But he was going based off of who he talked to in person or called into the show. Danielle's like, no, there's some negativity out there. When they looked at it, the negativity as a whole is on your social media, where it can be anonymous and people can run their thumbs with not having to stand on anything. When somebody calls into the radio show and they say, oh, it was a bad race. Why? Well, because so-and-so didn't win, or this and that. They have to defend their answer. On social media, you don't. You just post whatever you want and don't even have to defend it. And you can do it anonymously. Most people don't even use their name when it comes to that. So that was kind of an interesting aspect they look at when you have in-person or defendable people you can talk to. Their answer is more positive than negative. Again, not to say there isn't some negative. I got some negative things to say about the Xfinity we're going to get to, or the way things go. But as a whole, then, it's just that social media, that's the social media world that's been created. And the last thing I had was of the entire weekend, talk about history making. Bubba Wallace being the first African-American, the best finish by the female for Live Fast Motorsports, the return to the Brickyard. Connor Zilisch winning 3 in a row. I don't know where his age ranks into that. I'm sure that ties in. 18 years old, as Sharon mentioned. Junior Motorsports getting
now. He had a birthday recently.
19, okay. But I'm sure that age, as far as that, he'll be labeled as the youngest driver to do this. Again, that's just a fact of history. And then Junior Motorsports, I know we kind of danced around that. 100 victories. Could have, should have maybe been Justin Allgaier. Would have been interesting to see him involved in that at the end. For that, as Sharon said, the stalwart of Junior Motorsports, if you will. I think he's got 25 of the 100 victories for JRM. But it was also cool because you saw Sam Mayer, who's now in a Ford, be a part of that celebration. All right, Connor Zilisch, youngest driver to get 6 wins, 19 years and 4 days. Okay, so there again, you have an age stat with it. There's always something with history as far as you're going to label the driver as to why. But so I thought there was a lot of history making, and again, just the return to the Brickyard itself of the oval track. So all in all, I thought it was a great weekend.
Yeah, I see both sides here. I get what you got, and a lot of people would agree with you, Chris. A lot of people would agree with you. But I also see Jay's side, okay? I like the strategy. I enjoy that. Denny Hamlin, by the way, started at the rear of the field and ended up finishing 3rd. So somewhere along the line, I don't know if he did it by strategy or by passing because I couldn't see the race. But I will tell you, he got up there somehow, and he must have made some passes. But I do think that what happens sometimes, this car is not easy to drive. Number one, it's not easy to drive. Some people have it figured out. Some people don't. The ones who don't have it figured out hate it. The ones who have it figured out, they're making things happen with it. I like watching that process go through. I think the real problem, and it didn't show up at Indianapolis, but there has been a domination in the series by Chevrolet. And I think NASCAR needs to look at that. That's going to be a problem long term. Chevrolet has figured out something. Joe Gibbs is on the verge of figuring out something. Fords haven't quite figured it out yet, but they will. So I think once these guys figure this car out, I think we're going to see some great racing. But
Sharon, do you know what driver made the statement this week or complaint that you couldn't pass with this car?
Who?
Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Second on back is going to be unhappy because they didn't win. I mean,
exactly. You got to look at what's happening with the drivers that are complaining about it, and keep in mind, there's a reason why Indianapolis is the crown jewel. It's a flat track. It doesn't have the high banking. It's a difficult track to race on. That's why it's a crown jewel track. Okay, so it's not going to be easy. It shouldn't be easy for our Premier Series. So I don't buy into that. I just don't. And I do think, Bubba complained about passing at Nashville. And it just depends on if you're winning or losing. And I have watched drivers at particular tracks race up through the field. So it's going to be hard at Indianapolis, period. It's not going to be easy. And it's just the way it is at that track. So I think you have to take a lot of things into consideration when you're thinking about different tracks. I kind of lean more toward where Jay's coming from. I don't buy into all the complaints and all the noise around me. I look at the race and what I'm seeing at the racetrack and what I'm enjoying about the race. And when people start complaining about it, I tend to tune that out. I don't know why, but I do, because it's not why I'm watching the race. The reason I'm watching the race is to watch the strategy play out, to see how different drivers are dealing with different things, and what's happening as far as strategy. I just look at a lot of different things when I'm watching a race. And like I say, I did listen to it on Sirius XM, and I do feel like they make it more exciting when you do listen to it. And I agree. If you can sync it up with the TV, you'd have a different view of what's happening at that track, for sure. And Jay brings up a good point. 1 winner, 30 losers. Who's going to complain? You're going to get 30 losers complaining about it with the 1 winner. So that puts it into a little bit of perspective as well. But I get it. I get what people are saying. They want to see that 3-wide finish, which, by the way, was with the next gen car, different track, but 3-wide finishes. But it's not going to happen at every track. I'm here to tell you, it's not going to happen at every track. It's not going to happen every week. It's just not. So I think we get spoiled sometimes because we'll see several races that happen that way, and we expect every race to be that way. I get why you're disappointed that it didn't happen at Indianapolis, but I'm
at a loss. I feel like you two are ganging up on me.
I'm not ganging up on you.
I feel like y'all are ganging up on me because I believe that all these other forms of racing can only bring a certain type of excitement because it's a basically follow the leader. As a matter of fact, when you have a pass for the lead in Formula One, people fall out of their chair. They can't believe that somebody actually passed Max Verstappen. As a matter of fact, it'll make every headline in the world. And right now, it's McLaren and Lando Norris. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All Sports All Day says, I love strategy too, but I don't want that to be the only thing that decides a race. And it doesn't decide every race. It might be what decides the race at Indianapolis, though. All
right, Sharon, we might have to do a third round here.
That's what I think people need to take into consideration when they're watching the race. Indianapolis is a different type of racetrack. It's a different type of race. It's not going to be a 3-wide all the time finish, especially in this next gen car. It's not going to be that way. So different racetracks are going to give us a different types of race. And I think Indianapolis in this next gen car is going to be a strategy type race. Is it going to decide every race? It might decide every race at Indianapolis. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. I think as the different drivers learn the car and get more proficient at this particular car, that might change. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. And that's part of what I enjoy watching with the races. I like seeing that evolution and watching different drivers as they go through their evolution. So I know we're looking for different things when we watch races. I get that. Not every fan's going to be the same. And I appreciate that. I like that. I like that we have different fans looking for different things from the racetracks. So I'm not ganging up on you, Chris. I get the point that you're making. A lot of fans would agree with you that that's what they want to see at the racetrack. For me, it's different. For me, I look for different things at different tracks and have different reasons to enjoy the race. So it's not the only thing that's going to help me enjoy a race. But,
I don't think anybody said that was the case, that's the only thing that makes the race. It just gets kind of old and boring when you have a car that's incapable of passing. That's the argument.
We've had some. I said it was a historical
race. I love the fact that Bubba Wallace won. I mean, I don't know where I made it sounding like it's such a horrible complaint. No, I want my cars to be able to pass for the lead. I want to see some lead changes. I want to see somebody be able to come from 18th to first using what their daddy taught them. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm an old-fashioned racing fan. I want to see NASCAR racing. I watch Formula One. I enjoy that style racing. I watch IndyCar. I enjoy that style racing. I mean, NASCAR's NASCAR. Sure, we're not going to have a 3-wide finish every single time at the flag stand. That's not what I said. But we've gone like 5 races in the last bit of the 12 weeks of summer. And some of those races have just been absolutely terrible because there's not been any passing for the lead. That's all. I mean, look, if y'all don't think it's a problem, that's fine. I didn't judge y'all. I'm good with it.
I understand what you're saying. So don't feel like I'm not hearing you or that I don't understand. I get it. But I just think there's another side to it, something to think about. NASCAR, I'm sure they're looking at it. I'm sure they're hearing what fans are saying. And I'm sure that they're going to, every year they sit down and take a look at what they need to be doing different. And I think they will be doing some things different. So we'll see what kind of changes and that's part of the evolution that I like watching. So all sports all day says, I love strategy too, but I don't want to be the only thing that decides the race. And he continues to say, I just want to see the best driver win, not the clearest rear view mirror and cleanest air. I want this passing debacle to be over. We didn't get this at intermediates ever. Why with the next gen? And I think you're making a really good point there. I do think that NASCAR is going to be looking at that. And that's what I was starting to say here is I think NASCAR is going to be looking at that because they're hearing the fans that are saying that. But again, I think that there are other reasons to enjoy the race. And I know you guys get that point as well. So Chris went away. Did you have something more you wanted to say, Jay?
Chris is back if he wants to go. I don't know if I got logged out, but I had an issue there. I'm trying to get caught up on comments. So go ahead, Chris, if you had something else to add.
I mean, really, I don't know. I don't feel like I really need to defend myself.
You
I
don't.
feel like y'all have a great opinion together, and somebody who, my field of watching racing definitely expands way further than just NASCAR. I watch all forms of racing. I am a fan of all racing. I'll at the man. Come on, baby. I mean, what are we going to watch this week? I turn it on and watch Berlin Speedway. I turn it on and watch Bowman Gray Speedway. I watched Fairbury the other night on Flow. So I love all style racing. It just, it just seems kind of to the point when we're having races, when we're having cars without the ability to pass. That was my only. But hey, if you listen to MRN, you wouldn't even know we had that issue. I promise you. So we should all just tune in to the radio broadcast. Jay, I really don't have.
All right. I apparently lost my internet, so I can't see. Yeah, I can't see the comments anymore. I think that's why I got booted off. Two things though with that of the fans, and I say this in general, and I'm not trying to be negative, but you didn't like it when you say you don't want to see it be about strategy. You want to see it about the fastest car. Well, then the fastest car goes out, wins qualifying, wins the race. Well, you don't like that because then it's that one car dominating. You want to see more competitive teams and cars. Well, when you get that, guess what? They talk about with qualifying, you have 30 plus cars that are within 10th of a second. Guess what? If everybody is running the same speed, it's going to be tough to pass. But that's what the fans want is 30 plus. They don't want to see the start and park or teams that can't compete. They want to see them be competitive. Well, if they're competitive, guess what? That means it's going to be hard to pass because everybody's running the same speed. Talk about, I say 3 races, and it was ironic because I talked to a guy about this today, actually. Let me see if I can get back on my internet. Kind of call it a casual race fan, somebody that was asking me because they know I'm a big race fan, but go to the race. And this is me. I don't know, Chris, you're saying you're a race fan because you watch all racing. I have gone to a race, watched it. I saw what I saw and what race it was. Driving home, listened to a replay on Sirius XM radio. What the radio told me happened in that race. Same result, but it was a different race. Get home. I have it recorded. I go back and watch it. All right. Third time. Now I saw another race from the TV broadcast, different race with the same exact identical results, but it was a different race because it was what they showed or what they talked about, their perspective. So to me, it goes back to if you don't like what's being broadcast on TV or on the radio or whatever, go to the race and watch it for yourself. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
That's a quote by Ned Jarrett. Good job. That's old school.
What's that?
A couple of points.
Go to the race, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like the racing, would give it a 7 out of 10. The strategy was amazing. If they could pass, just think how perfect this race could have been. And then he says, I'm okay if a driver is dominating, not the car, but the driver. I think this car does not showcase the driver, but the car, and look at the draw a bit more than the actual skill and talent. So I'm not sure about that. I do think one of the things that they put it more into the hands, I think, of the pit crew. They put it more in the hands of the crew chief. They put it, and I've heard some drivers say that they feel like some drivers say that they like the idea that they can pass at certain tracks. I think the intermediates are a lot better with this car than they had been in before. So but I like the intermediates before too. So I don't know what to say. But I know drivers like to have it in their hands, but it is a team sport. And so the pit crew, the crew chief, that's all part of it. And the car is a big part of it. You got to have the right car in order for the driver to be able to manage it. So I don't know. He said that you're right on the intermediates. They are a lot better. So again, it just comes down to the track. And this is just not, they have one track that's like this track. And this is it, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And so it's going to take them a while to get this track down right with regard to this particular car. It's just going to give us a different type of racing, is my perspective. So, Chris, did you have anything more you wanted to say?
No, I think I'm good.
Jay?
No, I'm good. I'm trying
Okay.
to find our topics back now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic then. Chris, where do you want to go from here?
I think I did the first one. That's cool.
No, I did the first one.
Oh, you did the first one?
Yeah.
Well, I probably have something else y'all don't agree with. Let's talk about the rivalries. What is it? What is it? What is it? What are you trying to do?
We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. I know this. Come on, bring it.
Here I am. I'm fixing to throw it out there. I made a statement on Facebook that I felt that what happened between Austin Hill and Aric Almirola was a racing deal, and I caught a lot of crap for that one.
Oh, so not just from us, you mean?
No. I mean, I caught a lot of crap. Y'all don't even like 200 and something comments. Like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'll screenshot them and send you. It wasn't. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. But in reality, my take on what happened between Austin Hill and Aric Almirola is Aric Almirola has been pretty aggressive since he's been back in the Xfinity series, and I get it. You weren't taken serious as a Cup driver. You only got 3 career wins, and so you're back down into a lower series, just trying to live out the passion of being a racer, and you're in the best equipment that you've probably ever been in as a skilled race car driver. He was in that equipment before, and he lost a ride, and then went and did a little bit of testing and stuff with, I believe it was Hendrick Motorsports, and then wound up over, of course, at Richard Petty Motorsports, where we know him the most. If you were a fan before, he wound up at Stewart-Haas. But Stewart-Haas, I'm not really sure if he was in the greatest equipment there. We're learning a lot of things about them that we didn't know kind of at the time. We thought that they were a 4-team powerhouse. Once all the cards were laid on the table, I'm not sure if that 10 team ever really grew into what we would call a full scale tier 1 program team. It made by with what Danica did with the team, and then Aric, kind of the same. But look, I understand you got up underneath somebody's right. You basically shimmied them out of the way. You took the air off of them and you pushed them up the racetrack. Does that typically lead to some kind of retaliation? Not most of the time. So I don't believe for 1 minute what we're watching with our eyes and what we've seen at Indy was just something that happened for the first time. I think that there is, and I don't have video evidence of it. I haven't gone back and looked it up, but I'm sure somewhere down the line in the last couple of years, Aric has rubbed Austin Hill the wrong way. Aric was very arrogant in his interview. He wanted NASCAR to CCC. He pushed me. In reality, he pushed him up the racetrack, and the announcers were just as surprised that Austin Hill didn't wreck that race car. Now, you can't have it both sides, right? I mean, I'll talk about it all the time. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, that's a perfect example of what we've seen here with Aric Almirola, who pushed Austin Hill out of the way and pushed him up the hill, and Austin Hill said, I'm not going to take it. Did he right rear hook him on purpose? I don't know. Maybe he was just coming down to door slam him, and it just happened to catch Aric was just a little bit faster. Yeah. So Wow, I've actually got all sports all day kind of on my side today. I don't know who you are, man, but thank you. I need you, brother.
Well,
I
here
need
he
somebody
says,
on my side. Thank
he
you.
says, don't fully agree with Chris. I think it
Uh.
was on purpose, but people are too dead set on him doing it on purpose. Definitely could have been an accident. He was
I don't
sideways
think he
at
let me
180
finish.
miles per hour. I'm split on intention.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. But see, he wasn't fully agreeing with the beginning of it. But then as I was moving on into, what if it wasn't retaliation? What if he wasn't trying to right rear hook him? What if he was just trying to door slam him because he pushed him up the hill? That's a racing incident. Unfortunately, he come down and maybe Aric Almirola had him clear a little bit and more than what he expected, and it did turn into a right hook. But I don't know why in the heck you would want to wreck your own race car. I mean, he right rear hooked him so bad that he wound up down in the grass. So that doesn't typically happen with an intentional right rear hook. You could definitely do it in a spot, in a place where it's not going to wreck you too. So I believe what happened was these guys have had some issues on the track, and Austin Hill did not like getting pushed up the hill and tried to do something about it, and unfortunately caught him in a bad spot. I don't think it was intentional.
Jay.
I'm going to have to get on Chris's social media there and look at that. I hadn't even seen that yet, Chris. But I know your stance in the past on these things from what I know. No, I absolutely think this is atrocious, and I'm going to tread lightly here. Going back in the day, what happened with Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt, and that was by no means intentional, but that's what we're looking at, the possibility. We've talked about this. NASCAR's made improvements on this next-gen car, but getting turned into the wall like that is just dangerous beyond belief, and I think NASCAR has established that won't be allowed. I pray they back up their stance and suspend whatever driver it is. I was thrilled to death when they suspended Chase Elliott because they didn't show favoritism when it came to this rule. They've made that clear. They need to now stand behind it. When you look at it, you mentioned it. They're right. The announcers were amazed he saved it, which he did, and got straight and was going forward, and then all of a sudden veered left. You show me footage of the steering linkage breaking, a tire going down, something that proves that was outside of him doing it intentionally. If it wasn't an intent to right rear him and turn him into the wall, it was to door ding him. These guys are talented drivers. You got the skill. Ding him in the door then. Don't turn him into the wall. I mean, Sharon, go ahead. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, I was trying to find, I do have the video footage of it. So I was trying to find that.
He loses his damn mind.
He says, Chris is making some great points today. Pretty entertained tonight. Great job by all of you guys. Love watching. Thank you, All Sports All Day. We really appreciate that. He says, bottom line, it's very hard to determine intention, which is true. What are your thoughts about Bell right hooking Zane Smith? Is that similar to the Hill incident? I did not see that. All I heard is that Zane was turned, and that's what brought out the overtime, the second overtime. That's all I really saw on that. And I don't know if there's been video footage out there of it.
That one, in my opinion, was a racing incident. It was on the restart. They were coming of just three wide aggressive racing. There is a difference between aggressive racing. What happened with Kyle Larson and Justin Allgaier? He lost his car a little bit, went up, hit him in the corner. That's a left rear. Brought him both up the track as they lost their cars. But you're right. I'll come back. I'll wait. Sorry, Sharon.
No, that's okay. I was just trying to get, I was just trying to see if I could pull up, here it is. Okay. I wanted to pull up this video. It's playing a commercial right now, but as soon as it gets into the racing, I'll share it if I can, if I can get to it fast enough. Oh, did you see it? Okay, let me go back now. That's where he rubs him. He got straightened out. He comes back, and now watch. He goes on. I don't know if he had to pit after that, but
yeah, he had some damage, and then they held him.
Destroyed. Huh? Oh, yeah, his tires messed up there. Okay, but that's the incident that we're talking about.
But you saw him get straight, and actually Almirola wasn't even past him yet. It wasn't until he was clearing him that the car mysteriously came down left. Why didn't it come left right as he got alongside of him?
Yeah, he said on the radio, he got on the radio, I guess, and he said he didn't intentionally do it, but I think that was to cover himself. So I do think all sports all day is right. It's very hard to determine intention. According to him, he says Bell's looked way more intentional than Hill. In-car camera shows him just zip left out of nowhere. So it could be the same thing. I have not seen the video footage of the Bell and Zane Smith incident. But I will say this, when I watch it, you're right. It seems to me that he's pretty clear. He gets himself straightened out, and then all of a sudden he turns left and right into Almirola's car. But here's what I would say. And did you get a chance to say your part, Jay, before I get into mine?
I muted myself because I was getting frustrated, but I'll come back.
Okay. I will say this. I agree with you, Aric, that Almirola has been a little more aggressive in the Xfinity series. But he's not the only driver that when they get frustrated with drivers not getting out of their way and they need to pass, that's the way they pass these days. They give them that little bump on the back. Now, there's a difference between a dump and run and a bump and run, in my mind. A bump and run, you move them up out of the way and then you could pass by them. And I do think that some drivers, and I'm not saying that the Austin Hill did this, but I will say that I think that there are some drivers that when they get bumped out of the way, instead of moving up the racetrack, they may intentionally kind of make it more than what it is, just to, and I know that sounds silly to even say that, because why would you do that to yourself in order to do it? But I do think that there's some gamesmanship, I'll just put it that way, that goes on with some of that. And I will say, you're talking about how frustrating it is to pass people. That has become the way to pass people. Sometimes that bump goes well, sometimes that bump doesn't go well. And I'll just kind of put it that way. And it's hard. What I do like is NASCAR will go and look at the SMT data, and they will make a determination based off of that. All of us can look at the video, and it is hard to actually judge intention. When I look at the video, it looks intentional to me. I did not see the Zane Smith incident, so I can't say what that looks like. And I know that there was an incident between Kyle Larson and Allgaier as well. I didn't see that one either, so I can't really comment on that. But if NASCAR can come up with the SMT data that says, if we find concrete evidence it was on purpose, he's got to be suspended. If it was on purpose, and I agree with you. I think that if they can come up with that concrete evidence that it was intentional, whether it's radio communications, and I know, Jay, you brought up in a conversation that you and I had that he made some comments on the radio, and some of that should be monitored as well. And I know some of that is heat of the moment comments that are being made. But yeah, if NASCAR comes up with that concrete evidence, and they should look at all three of those incidents. If they find that that was an intentional incident between for Zane Smith, that too should be looked at. You say it was Bell. I'm wondering if Bell had any reason to do that. Was he in contention? Was he running up front?
It was top 10. That was what brought out, I think, the second restart or the first restart. One of the final two restarts.
Because I know a few years back we had an incident with Kyle Busch creating a caution to help his driver. So I don't know if that would have been the case here or not. He says Larson got loose under Allgaier and 2 slid up and bumped out Allgaier's side. That was a racing incident. And that's the thing. Bell had no history with Smith that race. So there's no history there. So again, I feel a little bit at a disadvantage because I couldn't really see some of these things. But with regard to that one, I'll just say it looked intentional to me. I'm waiting for the SMT data to find out what NASCAR does. Chris?
Yeah, I shared the in-car video on that one with the Bell and Zane Smith incident, and it looks egregious. I'm not gonna lie, looks just as egregious as the Hill incident with Almirola. I'm gonna remind you guys that Richard Childress did make a statement at the end of that race
he did.
that he needs to keep his mouth shut. They're a blue collar team, and people get judged differently in NASCAR. And here we are, Christopher Bell. Everybody loves that guy. Nobody cares about Zane Smith. And nobody's talking about that incident, but everybody's talking about the Hill Almirola incident. You know.
Well, and I think it's because of the history. Yeah.
Very well.
Okay. Jay?
Yeah, I got two things of, well, Larson on that deal, Larson, the bottom car, lost the car, slid up into, and he admitted it. He said, that was my bad. I lost my car. Huh?
Boneheaded move.
Or just lost the car. I mean, you know, and that happens. The Christopher Bell, Zane Smith deal. And again, the broadcasters looked at that one in depth, saying, what the heck was that? What, Bell lose his mind? It appeared that he just thought he was clear and going to get in line behind him and came down too early. Now, that goes into whether or not there was history between the two of them throughout the race or throughout the season or some reason for there to be retaliation. And there really wasn't. That just appeared. And the broadcaster said it. If Bell misjudged that, he needs to go to the doctor and get his eyes checked because that was a bad misjudgment, if you will, or whatever. There was no even.
And then went boom.
And it was
coming up the straightaway and then goes boom.
Well, he thought he was clear, apparently, from what
Right.
I'm hearing.
There's no way. You go watch the video. I shared it.
Well,
to
I didn't
you.
see the video. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Go
shared
ahead,
it to
Joe.
you.
So going back to the Austin Hill one, there again, you look at history of the driver. This dude couldn't even get along and race his own teammates clearly. There's a reason I think Sheldon Creed is no longer at RCR when you go back to that. And Sheldon Creed said, I was coming out on the short end of it more often than not. Larry McReynolds liked to say you can't judge intent. The rule is you don't right rear hook somebody, turn them into the wall. You look at the NFL, holding. Well, did you intend to hold them? No, you either did or you didn't, whether you intended to or not. Boxing, you can't hit below the belt. You hit below the belt whether you intended to or not. You did it, and you got to accept responsibility. The comments to me, the issue is when they held him for 5 laps, and I'm going to not repeat it, but his in-car audio there when they said they were going to hold him and he was sitting on pit road was NASCAR can go F themselves. That ain't doing themselves no favor. I mean, that alone, yeah, you're putting yourself in a box. Again, you man up. I mean, accept what you did and move on. But to cop that kind of attitude, yeah, like I said, I pray that NASCAR suspends him, and not because it's him, because I don't want to see somebody be like Dale Earnhardt.
Okay. I backstory on Hill. Let's see this. And, All Sports All Day said spotter flaw. Maybe the spotter told him he was clear, and he went. I don't know, but yeah, that's a possibility. Backstory on Hill. Hill dumped Cole Custer under pace laps last year and smashed the crap out of Creed, teammate at Martinsville a few years ago. I think Hill does have history of being a little bit of a hothead. And I think when things don't go his way, he uses his car sometimes on the racetrack. And that's not really acceptable either. And then he says, remember when Busch flipped off the official when he got parked a few years ago? Yeah, Hill said every word that went through Busch's mind. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's a little bit of history there with Hill. And he's built that reputation for himself with his past history. And he's continuing his history with comments like that on the radio. I don't think Richard Childress did himself any favors either with his comments with regard to NASCAR. And, you know, it might be true. It might not be true. I don't know. But you got to be careful. You're not winning friends and influencing people with those kind of comments. And again, it's heat of the moment stuff. So Richard Childress has a history as well. When he asked somebody to hold his watch, and a few other little incidences that have happened there. So I don't think that these guys do themselves any favors when they make those comments. And yeah, we do like to see that. Sometimes we don't want vanilla drivers. I get that. So, you know, that's what a lot of fans enjoy. But in the end, you can't let your, I don't know how, you can't let your emotions guide what you do on the track. And I guess that's where Connor Zilisch is head over heels above some of these other race car drivers. There's a thing called emotional intelligence. And I don't think that there's some drivers that have that lacking. I think Denny Hamlin had that lacking for a long time. I think he might be evolving away from that. And that's probably a good thing. But the emotional intelligence is part of your development. So I do think that these guys have some more development to do when it comes to that. So, and I agree, we're not looking for vanilla drivers. We don't want the polish all the time. And it is an emotional sport. I get that. But you got to help yourself sometimes too. And sometimes these kind of comments and these kinds of reactions don't help you. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So we'll see what NASCAR sees when they look at the SMT data and take it from there. Chris, I know you're biting at the bit.
No, I mean, I really don't have much. I think that we want these drivers to police themselves. That's the most important thing. What?
Read All Sports All Day.
He says we want drivers with personality, not criminality. I love it.
Criminal intent.
And he says that was a joke.
That was a good one too.
It was a good one, yeah. Okay, so go ahead, Chris.
We want drivers with personality, not criminality. I mean, you can't say nothing. You can't give better than that. I love the rivalry. The rivalry. I think that Allgaier was more pissed at Larson than Almirola was at Hill. I think Allgaier had more of a reason to be pissed at Larson because Larson is supposed to be that much higher caliber of driver and shouldn't make mistakes like that cost somebody else the race. I
agree.
May I ask the round table if they believed if Larson would have been in a junior motorsports car for that incident, that it wouldn't have been a lot more egregious than what it was? Thank goodness he was in a Hendrick ride, right? Not a Dale Junior Motorsports car.
I
Just saying.
don't think so. I don't think so. Cause again, he admitted it. He said, "Hey, I feel bad. I made a mistake, lost the car. It got away from me, whatever." And that's the point I want to make. Justin Allgaier was obviously not happy, but he did not get out and bash on Kyle Larson. He said, "Hey, it's a racing deal. It happened. I'm not happy about it. I wanted to be the one to get Juniors 100, all of that." Another one, in my opinion, Aric Almirola showed extreme class. And this is kind of a separate, but I feel like the media wants to pull that out. When they I'm sorry, do I have to stop talking? Anyway, when they interviewed him, they said, "What happened with Austin Hill?" And he talked about how great his car was, his race, and wasn't going to address it. They came back a second time and said, "Are you going to go talk to Austin Hill? Are you going to do something about this?" I mean, they forced him to. And then he said, "Yeah, he intentionally wrecked me, turned me, but there's no point in talking to him. Ask Myatt Snyder. You're not going to go up and have a conversation with Austin Hill, because if he don't like it, he's going to knock you out." I mean, that goes back a couple of years, adds to his history. You can't even have a conversation with the man. And again, I don't know the details. That one wasn't as public because it was videoed from a distance, but in his defense, apparently, from what witnesses said, he did tell Myatt, "Get out of my face or I'm going to knock you out," and he backed that up. But that tells you he does not, Sharon, you said it, does not have control of his emotions in or out of the car. I just got to say, I think Larson on the wrong end, as well as Allgaier and Almirola, handled themselves with class. Going back to the Christopher Bell, Zane Smith, like I said, I think NASCAR should look at it. That one I think will get labeled as a racing incident. For whatever reason, Bell made a bad judgment on where he came down, but that was not to turn the car in front of him or with any kind of retaliation or intent. It was just a bad mistake.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All sports all day. On the bright side, the fact that both incidents are not 100% clear cut, that gives us a lot to talk about. But I want to address the thing with Kyle Larson, because he has a lot of those little incidences that he mans up and takes accountability for it, but he's too good of a driver to let those things keep happening. First time's an accident, second time's coincidence, third time we got a habit. That's my saying.
Definitely a habit. And
I stand by that. And I think Kyle Larson is getting into that habit category, that area of it becoming a habit with him, because that's happened quite a bit with him, manning up and saying, but on his defense side of it, I've got I can argue both sides of this. On his side of it, I will say it's a long race. They've got to have that mental acuity for the entire race. And I can see where lapses happen once in a while. But when it gets into that habit area, I have concerns about it. On the other side of it, you're a premier driver. You're supposed to be, people talk about you being one of the best drivers in the world. Doesn't mean that you can't make mistakes, but it happens a little too frequently in my mind. So I think he needs to really think about that and address that from his point of view, from his side. But with regard to what All Sports All Day has to say, I said, yep, that's what drives the conversation for sure, is when it's not 100% clear and we're all here talking and debating about it. That's why we do what we do, I guess, is because when things like this happen, it gives us something to talk about. Anything else anybody else wants to say?
Yeah, I would like to not defend Austin Hill. I think that's similar to maybe possibly, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shedeur Sanders. He was projected to be a #1 draft pick for all of last season. When draft time come around, he wound up drafted fifth round. And the big question wasn't his ability to play football, but his maturity level. And I think that that's something we wonder why Austin Hill is still in Xfinity Series. Like he was racing Daniel Suarez and William Byron and all these guys in 2012 at Bowman Gray Stadium. Austin Hill's still in the Xfinity Series. Bubba Wallace, all these other drivers are, Ryan Blaney's a Cup champion. Austin Hill's still in the Xfinity Series. I think a lot of that has to do with the maturity level of Austin Hill. So yeah, there is definitely some lack of maturity there. Just as I think that, as you said, which was great. It was beautiful. I love the fact that somebody's actually out here calling a spade a spade. Kyle Larson, you make too many mistakes, man. You go in, you push it hard. You even got called out by Brad Sweet in your own series, in your high limit racing series. You take too many chances because you're not worried about the consequences. And I think that is a maturity issue. That's definitely, I mean, we're talking about a guy who got suspended from NASCAR because he said a derogatory word. He has some maturity issues. He's lacking maturity in some areas. And finally, somebody besides me has got on the mic and called it a spade. And that's exactly what it is. Both of these drivers have some maturity issues. Larson does not worry about who he raffles. He doesn't matter. He's got the biggest owner. Hey, this car owner took his back when nobody else had him, right? So he's unbeatable. He has won on and off the racetrack. He doesn't care what he does to you. He doesn't care what feathers he ruffles. Now, that's the difference in a champion and a guy who, I'm not calling Austin Hill and Kyle Larson the same driver at all. But I'm saying that both of them have similar issues with the maturity level. Jay, I'd love to know your stance on this. Come on.
You're right. I think Kyle Larson went through that. And there is still some of that in him, but I think it's from a different aspect of the absolute talent he has. You're right. He is and when I say aggressive driver, not aggressive of running into or over other people, but being aggressive more than the car can handle. He outdrives the car, and the car can't handle some of the moves he makes. The one thing I will say, though, going back to that, he did accept responsibility. When he got suspended by NASCAR, he didn't fight it. He did what they asked. He went through the program. He came back. When you see him involved in an incident on either side, if he caused it, like with Justin Allgaier, he admitted it, they move on. When Bubba Wallace ran into him and they got into the scuffle on pit road, he held absolutely no kind of grudge. He said, it happened, we're moving on. He is as gracious when it happens to him as to when he does it to somebody else. He does not hold a grudge week to week. And that goes back to, in my opinion, being a true nightly racer. When you talk about drivers on a circuit such as the high limit or any dirt track traveling series, you're going to have incidences for it to become I'm going to get you this week, me next week, whatever. He doesn't do that. Again, and I go back to Ross Chastain. It's not about I'm going to do something to this driver. I'm trying to pass whatever driver is in front of me because that's who I'm trying to beat at the moment. Now, is that necessarily full maturity? Absolutely not. And that's why I said it's on that line of aggressive driver. But I look back at Kyle Larson, like I said, when it happens to him, you don't hear him go on a tirade for an entire week or I'm going to pay him back or anything. He said, yeah, it happened. Dude took me out. I'll come back next week and I'll blow their doors off. And he generally does. With the deal with Brad Sweet in the sprint cars, that was one of those where I feel like, yeah, he overdrove the limits of the car. And he has, I think back to when he was with Chip Ganassi, that was part of his problem because those cars weren't as good as what he was as far as a talented driver. And he was a checkers or wreckers type driver because he would want to drive up on the wall, not be able to handle it, and get the wall, and the wall wins. I think we have seen great maturity when it comes to him as far as that. And that's why he's won a NASCAR championship and possibly on pace to do another. I think he's a contender this year for sure.
Okay, I'm going to take both
Aggressiveness.
sides on this. Okay. All Sports All Day says with Larson, I don't think it's a maturity problem. I think it's an aggressiveness issue.
I can agree.
And
I think they're kind of tied together.
I think that Jay's right. There's a great deal of maturity when it comes to accepting responsibility and moving on from the incident and not making it be something that lingers and, carries a grudge. He has a great deal of maturity when it comes to that. Somebody once explained to me, there's a difference between being assertive and being aggressive. Being assertive is when you stand up for yourself and you do it without violating the rights of others. Being aggressive is when you stand up for yourself, but you violate other people's rights in doing so. So I would agree that Kyle Larson is overly aggressive when he's on the track. I think that he feels that he can do things that, for whatever reason, it's just not going to happen. I've seen him do things and I'm like, what was he thinking when he did that? He is highly competitive. And I think that competitiveness drives him to a point of being overly aggressive on the track. And in that respect, he lacks maturity. He's selfish. Okay.
That's it.
So that's what I mean when I'm going to argue both sides of the thing here. He has a great deal of maturity in the way that Jay is speaking, the way that he handles the incident. He doesn't let it linger. He doesn't hold grudges, but he has a lack of maturity when it comes to being respectful of other people's rights to be there on that track. A lot of times I think he wants to move them out of the way, and he gets overly aggressive in going after it. So in that respect, I think that he could benefit from having that respect for other people when he's driving on the track. So it's a racing incident in his mind. He knows he overdid it. He knows he overdrove the car. And he is overdriving the car when those incidents happen. He's overdriving the car. So he just needs to be respectful of the other drivers when he's making those decisions on the track. And that's where his lack of maturity, I think, is evident on the racetrack at those times. So I see both sides of that. That I would argue both sides of that.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. There's no, I mean, it brings me to the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise tortoise was slow rolling, the hare was fast, but he kept taking breaks, and he couldn't.
But these guys aren't wired that way. They're just not wired that way for some reason to be the tortoise. I mentioned it. Who was it I mentioned it to? One of the drivers we interviewed, and I was telling him, sometimes it's better to slow down, you'll go faster. And he says, my dad said that. And I did that, and it was true. I was going faster. Right.
Sometimes you got to slow down to go fast.
You got to slow down
times.
To go fast.
That's a Murphyism right there.
I think that might have been Austin Cindric when you interviewed him.
Was it Austin? I think it might have been one of the recent guys. I think it was the guy. Was it Joey Keneally? I can't remember. One of the guys we interviewed recently said his dad had told him the same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyway, that's just how I see it. And I think he just needs to think about have the respect for the other drivers. And because Justin Allgaier can't get that back. He wanted to get that 100th win, and Kyle Larson took it away from him by having a slip up on the track. You can't take that back. So just having a respect for the other guys on the track, I think, is what it comes down to. Okay, Jay, are you ready for another topic, or did you have something more to say?
I did have something. Chris, did you have something else there on this one?
No, I think I'm good.
one of the things, and I agree, like I said, it is that overdriving the car, but 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, we'll say up there. And I think about some of the moves we've seen him make of 3 wide and shoot the gap. He does it, and everybody goes, "Man, I can't believe he did that. He is the greatest driver ever." But then on those 2 times it doesn't work, then you're like, "Oh man, he shouldn't have done that." You can't have it both ways, you know. I mean, if you're going to be, wow, that's the greatest driver ever, he made that work, and it worked 8 out of 10 times. Those 2 times it doesn't, you can't then say, well, he's the worst driver ever. I mean,
he's the worst driver.
No, but I'm just saying, you can't have it both ways. That's why he gets credited as one of the best drivers ever, because he is aggressive and does. And I really do think most times out of 10, it has nothing to do with not being concerned of the other driver.
It's intentional, yeah.
Absolutely not. Now, are there times where you maybe should look at, hey, go back to Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. I'm just going to drive it in there and let it go and see what happens. Type deal. Yeah, it didn't work. And yeah, it's like, man, why did you even try that? Well, again, more times than not, Kyle Larson does it and it works, and everybody wants to say he's the greatest. Now, when it doesn't work, I wasn't saying they said he's the worst, but he needs to not be that way. Well, that's what made him last week or the week before the greatest driver ever. I mean,
Yeah, I hear your point, but I do think sometimes he takes chances that
it does. And yeah, if you're going to try risky moves, the risk versus reward, I just go with the numbers. More times than not, what he does work, and he handles it. We've seen a couple.
You can't be the best driver in the world and make that many mistakes either.
Yeah. I mean, and here's where
can't have both ways either.
I think about that. Go back to Mark Martin. I mean, he was great, but yeah, if the car wasn't there, he didn't do it. But he also then didn't win championship in the number of races that we've seen. So that's where then you give that up a little bit if you aren't ever willing to push the issue.
Yeah, it's a good point, but
the in-season bracket. Was it up to me now?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Actually, I chose that one with the Austin Hill thing. So.
Oh, did you choose one, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's back to me, huh? Okay, so let's go to the. Before we do that, how about the Stars Rising? Katherine, Legg, and Connor Zilisch. How good are they? Let's talk about that, Chris.
Yeah, I've been biting at the bit to talk about this one because I feel like this lady deserves so much more respect than what she's getting. We're seeing out of Katherine Legg what I think you would have expected to see out of Shane Van Gisbergen, showing up in a race car that doesn't know much about and has to really learn the ropes in order to get it figured out. And we've watched that. We've watched this this entry level race car driver that when she first showed up didn't know what she was doing or how to get to the start finish line, and now all of a sudden we've matured within the summer and she's running pace with top tier teams. Pace was second place. I know by strategy, but second place nonetheless. And finished, I think, 17th or 18th. When you're looking at the points and you're counting the top 16, 17, 18, 19 drivers, you don't find Katherine Legg there. She's doing more with less. And I think that that's something that deserves to be noticed. I watched a little bit of Actions Detrimental. Denny Hamlin had a lot to say about how good Katherine Legg is. I think that we have a true racer that's in the sport. I think the car fits her. She knows how to race this race car. So it's the adaptation to this car hasn't been so as profound as what it would have been in years past with the different style car. She needs a little bit of backing. She needs a little bit of help. And I think that Chevrolet would be crazy not to get behind her and really push a full-time entry with Katherine Legg. So many times, look, Patty Moise, she was a female racer. She was a race car driver. Shauna Robinson was a race car driver. Danica Patrick was a race car driver. She was just an open wheel race car driver. Danica Patrick would have probably, in this style car, been a lot easier to adapt to from what she was used to, and just the way that this car races. Katherine Legg is a good story for the sport. My daughter grew up in racing. One night we pulled out of Chili's, and I said she was there. Her and my wife were big into rodeo, and I said, "Let's go. We got the Ralph Morgan Rodeo tonight, and we've got why not dirt track racing. Which one y'all want to go to?" And she said, "Well, I want to go to the rodeo." And I said, "All right, well, we're going to a different kind of rodeo." And I brought them to Why Not, and she turned into a track photographer, and to this day has the love for racing that female. And so, with that said, she has somebody she can relate to. We want to talk about the ethnicity and all this other things. Well, it's just as important from that side. And there's an actual female racer that we can buy into. Natalie Decker was great, and this Tony girl that's in the ARCA series, more power to her. There was a girl, I can't think of her name. I won't mention it. She won the Five Flag Snowball Derby about 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. I can't think of her name right now. You know who I'm talking about. She was a really good racer. She chose to be a mom.
On our show.
Yeah. She chose to be a mom, right? And she was great. She was very talented. Katherine Legg has the experience. She's a 20-year racer. She knows what she's doing. Let's get behind her. Let's make fans of her. She's brought a sponsor to the sport, a female sponsorship that I think is absolutely awesome. Anybody that can bring something to the table, let's relate. Let's make her relatable. Let's find her a full-time ride, whether it be in Xfinity or whatever. Just doing what she's done has been absolutely amazing. So shout out to Live Fast Racing for giving her the opportunity, and obviously finding something in the shop. I overheard on Twitter, or I've seen on Twitter where it was overheard that the engineers of that race team was like, "Man, if we only had a true team around her, how good she would actually be." Yes. And I think that resonates with a lot of us that want to see success from all kinds of areas in racing. So yeah, shout out Katherine Legg. Just having her. Well, I've told you guys, like, I've made it a point to mention her name in several previous shows, and I said, we need to keep an eye on her. This is where we're at now. And I hope that she's given a lot more opportunity to prove her way here. We're blessed to have these type of racers. SVG, Katherine Legg, when Kimi Räikkönen come into the sport, and raced a few races, we're so blessed right now to have these world-known racers come into NASCAR and give their hand at it. And yes, some are more successful than others. I don't know if I would have ever guessed that Shane Van Gisbergen would be sitting fourth in points right now based off of wins, but here we are, and I love it. Let's give Katherine her moment of glory. How about that?
Okay. Do you want to address Connor Zilisch now or later?
Well, no, I think I've already said a lot about Connor. I think my hot take with him winding up in Formula One is look, y'all think I'm crazy.
I don't. I've heard it.
If it happens, I'm going to be standing up on top of the roof saying, I told y'all, because I think the kid's got that level of talent. And I would hate to say that Formula One is bigger than NASCAR, because I don't believe it is, but worldwide, it really is. And Formula One's a lot more known than NASCAR. And this kid has that kind of talent. He's an American racer. And I think that he would do really good at all forms. Do I want to see him become I want to see Connor Zilisch win more races than Jeff Gordon. How about that?
There you go.
How about that? I want to see a 7-time champion and 94 race wins by this guy.
And in a shorter period of time. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Connor Zilisch, I mean, the stats there, I mean, speak for himself. The history he's making. On the flip side, earlier we were talking about Corey Heim in the truck series. The one thing, and this is my opinion, to me, Formula One is more about the team and the money than it is the driver. I think that's why we see these drivers navigate towards NASCAR, because it is, and it's a line from Days of Thunder going all the way back to that of, I want to get beat by the best driver, not the best car. Now, do we have some of that in NASCAR when you talk about Hendrick Motorsports versus Live Fast Motorsports? Absolutely. I mean, you're going to have that no matter where you go. any sport. Your top teams that recruit or spend money, get better players, better teams, whatever. There's always going to be that. But I do think that NASCAR truly does show the most talent of the driver. Several that have come from IndyCar talk about that, of the push to pass button, the pit road speed, all of that's done electronically with a button. When it comes to Formula One, there again, I feel, my opinion, be clear on that, is it's one driver selected to be the champion, and your entire team of 3 or 4 cars, their whole job is to make sure that one driver gets it. I don't view that as, I don't like it. And I'm going to leave it at that. Feel free to share your thoughts. I am. No,
I'm talking to the people that are watching.
Yeah, I know. I think all day, because he kind of said a great job. I think this gets to be about the time he heads to bed, if I remember from last week or the week before. So yeah, I think we've seen the last of him tonight, but we do appreciate him all day, all sports, all day. Again, very active, and we appreciate it and respect your opinions, whether I agree with them or not. And you're ganging up with Chris on me. I'm all for it.
I think
appreciate you being on.
Played,
he's still here. He's still here.
I think he was playing a little bit of mediator for us tonight too, kind of calming us down.
Good thing I was talking good about him if they're still here. No, I'm just kidding. We greatly appreciate it, man. I love the interaction. So with that, going to Katherine Legg, and Chris, you are one. I will give you a shout out here. You have been behind her the whole way. What I don't like is the fans that are now going to get on the Katherine Legg bandwagon, being that she is running better. No, y'all said she was the worst, couldn't find her way out of a wet paper bag, 6 weeks ago. No, come on. I mean, that bothers me. But I think we are seeing the production, fruits of the labor, if you will, from the team. And you got to give a huge credit to that. 17th place for Live Fast Motorsports. Strategy, luck, whatever. I mean, let's be real. It takes that for them to get up there. And now you got the talent of a driver who has shown maturity, learned from the mistakes. And if you can see it on my screen, my light is flickering. I'm going to have to log off or put my screen up here and go fix that because it's driving me nuts. But
we can't see it.
Okay. I'm happy for y'all. It's in my face. So, yeah, I can't wait. And I think, too, a couple other drivers that have gone through this. Alex Bowman with, at the time, Red Bull Racing was not a top-tier organization. Tommy Baldwin Racing. Ross Chastain came through JD Motorsports, Nice Motorsports, and I can't think of the Cup team he was with at the time. Had to show, hey, look at what they're doing in
Massey.
Yeah, but that was when he got his break. Who was the one he was with of just when he was running all 3 series, all races, all 3 series, just
in the Cup series? I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the Cup series. I don't remember. It wasn't quite a starting park, but it wasn't far above it.
Say it one more time, Jay.
Ross Chastain, what team was he with when he was just out there running?
JD Davis.
That's in the Xfinity. Who was it on the Cup side?
Oh, goodness.
Before Ganassi. But that's where they got recognized because they said, hey, they're taking a 30th place team and getting them 20th place finishes. Was that when Spire Motorsports first started?
Yeah, he's
saying
Spire.
All Sports All Day says it was Spire. It could be. I that's what I said. I don't recall. So, but it was one of those teams that you recognize that, hey, if this driver, it could have been that was their first car, the 77 when they started, or what developed or morphed into Spire Motorsports. But yeah, so I think that's where she's at right now. I think people are starting to not just recognize, but acknowledge her talent with that. And so maybe that does get her into, again, Penske doesn't have any room. Joe Gibbs doesn't have any room. You're not going to get one of those. But there you go, premium. Is that what Spire was before it was Spire? Is that where Spire came in? I was trying to think where they originated or built off of.
I'm not really sure. I think Premium.
I do. Premium does ring a bell. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm glad to see fans and media, everybody starting to acknowledge her. I still get frustrated that they didn't when she was struggling as a rookie in the Cup Series, just like SVG. Okay, we know he's a great road racer. Look at what he is doing as improving on oval track racing. And some of your greats, AJ Allmendinger, went through that. Austin Cindric went through that. These guys that, can win on super speedways or road courses. Yeah, they got to work to get to that level. Give them that time. Don't bag on them like that. But I think they're both. Again, Connor Zilisch, I mean, what more can you say? Like I said, his stats, the history he's making right now in the Xfinity Series, projected to go to Cup Series next year. I had not heard the Formula One thing, but I know with Justin Marks that opportunity may exist because he's involved in a lot of motorsports. He's come through the Trans Am and I think the WeatherTech GT Series, a couple of those. So it is a possibility. Like I said, I hope that with the talent he has of driver, that he stays in NASCAR and that's a one-off type deal or something. But if that's the direction he wants to go, I'd fully support it.
Yeah. All Sports All Day says, I like Zilisch, definitely could be the next 7-timer. And I agree with that. And maybe even more. Gonna need to get into Hendrick though, he continues. And then in regard to Katherine Legg, she does have experience at Indy, 21st driver to run the Brickyard 400 and Indy 509. And then he meant to say 500, Indy 500. And then he says, I just don't know why Live Fast had her first race at Phoenix. That's a good point. Short tracks are usually safe. I think that's usually why they started a short track. We mentioned Spire in the 77. And he says, I know he ran a weird year with Spire 77. And I think there was another. Whoops. Hold on. Let me go back to comments. I think his Spire year was 2020 now that I think about it. Okay, so that was some of the updated comments from All Sports All Day. With regard to Connor Zilisch, I agree. I think he could be the next 7-timer. I think he likes NASCAR. I've heard the talk about he could go to Formula One, but I think he kind of responded and said he likes NASCAR. He wants to stay in NASCAR. He wants to race NASCAR Cup. And I think we'll see that. And I think he'll make history in the NASCAR Cup Series if he does make it there. And I think he could possibly beat Jeff Gordon in a shorter amount of time. He has that much talent. If he does go to Formula One, I don't know that he's going to like it as much, honestly, for all the reasons that you brought up, Jay. And I hope he doesn't go there. I hope he spends the rest of his years in NASCAR because I think he would be really great in the Cup Series. And I wouldn't want it to be lopsided, though. I want the other drivers to learn from him because, and I think they are learning. I think the drivers are learning from Shane Van Gisbergen. I think the drivers are learning from Connor Zilisch. And so they make this sport better. And now getting to Katherine Legg, I don't know why there was so much hate on her because she is talented. And her All Sports All Day says her experience in IndyCar, the 21st driver to run Brickyard 400 and Indy 500. So I think she has some talent. And Sal in the earlier show was saying that Katherine Legg, actually, if she knows the drivers are coming up on her and they're faster than she is, she waves them around. And I think the drivers respect that. And, she's not there to try to prove herself. She's there to learn. And that's what I admire about Katherine Legg. She knows that she's got to go through a year, at least a year, of just learning the car and observing and bettering her craft. And I think she's doing that. And I think she's doing a good job. And I think she's showing respect to a lot of the drivers, and a lot of the drivers are giving her that respect back. And I love that about Katherine Legg. I think that she's doing a good thing. She's doing herself a service by doing that. And I do think that if given the opportunity, I think that Katherine Legg is going to do really well in NASCAR. All Sports All Day says, I will say he's probably going to race for Trackhouse next year. I don't think he will ever win a championship the way the Trackhouse is running. He needs a better team like Hendrick Motorsports. And I will say this, I do think Chevrolet right now is on top, and we see this thing go in waves. Ford gets on top, and then they slide down, and Chevys will rise up. Same thing with Toyota, and now we've got Dodge possibly coming into the sport, not next year, but maybe in a couple of years. So we'll see how that plays out. Trackhouse is a pretty good team, but and maybe he'll make it a better team by coming into Trackhouse. So I think this is going to be a two-way street with drivers like Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch. We have a lot to learn from both of those drivers. And then he goes on, All Sports All Day says, the only time I was critical of Legg is when she self-spun at Phoenix and wrecked Suarez. But that's not really her fault. No clue why they'd start her at Phoenix and not an easier track. Yeah, I get that point. You make a good point there. I think a lot of times they'll start them at Martinsville because it's a bumping and banging kind of track. It's a lot smaller than Phoenix is. I think a lot of drivers get their first start at Martinsville for that reason.
And then you get called the dart without feathers by Tony Stewart.
Yeah. All Sports All Day says also she was running lead lap at Rockingham when the leader slammed her in the rear. That's true. And that's unfortunate. But I think she has a lot of talent. I think she's another driver that's using her head and really taking this time to learn her craft in this car. And I think she's doing a good job of it, especially when you think about the equipment that she's in. I think she's doing an outstanding job with what she's doing on the track. And she deserves a lot of credit for that. And so I applaud you, Chris, for bringing her up every week. So second go around.
Yeah, I think that it was a comment I believe All Sports All Day had. Look, I spent the last 5 minutes researching Ross Chastain, and it was Premium Motorsports that I know it's completely off topic. It's Premium Motorsports that he raced a couple of years with in the 15, the Jay Robinson team.
There we go.
And then actually filled in the 6 car at Jack Roush for a few races. I think it was about 8 races before Ryan Newman, I think, finally come over. And I think in 2020 is where I was at now. Go through the comments real quick.
All
He
Sports All Day.
Yeah,
did a year with
Which
Spire.
comment are you looking for? Give me a clue. Which
I don't
one?
know. Just flip through the last couple of comments that was there.
It said he in 2020 was the year he thought he did
the
it
track
Inspire.
situation. So this
How did I do
something-
that? I haven't picked
This
the one
is
you were
something that
wanting.
Taz Taylor and I had a lot of discussion on. I can tell you, blah 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 blah. I'm Notre Damus. I am NASCAR Damus. Okay, it's just some things I've proved over the years. I've seen things happen before they actually happen. I knew that Kyle Larson, the only way that Kyle Larson was ever going to be a championship driver was if he wound up at Hendrick Motorsports. And I argued Jason McMullen from the 110 Nation for so long that loyalty was not going to matter, that Hendrick had a big enough check to write and said, boy, if you want to win championships, you're going to come race with me. And that's how it all happened. All sports all day, ASAD, man, you have got it, brother. If he's going to win championships, it's going to be at Hendrick Motorsports, because you're not going to buy your motors and buy your cars from somebody else and go on and be a 7-time champion. He's not going to let that happen. That's where we're at right now with this car and the way that these teams are structured. If we want to see Connor Zilisch become the next American badass, I think that's probably going to be at Hendrick Motorsports. It's not going to be at Trackhouse. It is unfortunate to say that. There's those of us that dream, wish, and want all we can, but Trackhouse will never be given the opportunity to go win a championship on a multi-year basis. They'll become just like what happened with Furniture Road. The price tag is going to get more expensive every year, and before you know it, he's got to be over there with Papa Hendrick and doing what Papa Hendrick tells him to do. So hopefully what happens with Trackhouse, and this is just me out there, is that they'll wind up with Dodge and really wind up either a Toyota or Dodge or somewhere where they can be a top-notch team, a tier 1 type team. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. But spot on, all sports all day. He needs a team like Hendrick if he's going to be a 7-time champion.
Okay, Jay.
I have faith in Trackhouse. Again, are they the weekly top contender? No. But I think of just like 2311. Oh, they're not going to be as good as Joe Gibbs. Tyler Reddick was in the championship a few years ago. Bubba Wallace just coming off the win. It can be done. I also look at Spire Motorsports. I think they're getting all the resources, all the right key elements in place. That was one. All right, now he said he's headed out. Thank you, All Sports All Day. Yeah, it's bedtime somewhere. Appreciate it. Right. Spire Motorsports, again, they're on the verge. And I said this with Trackhouse, Spire, you got to give them time. Just like we were talking about drivers developing, teams got to build and develop as well. Are we going to see them become a Hendrick Motorsports? Dude, that takes a long time. That's not something. 2311, what they've done in the short amount of time since they've come on board as a team has been impressive, honestly. But again, they got the right drivers, still adding and tweaking little key things that they need to be then weekly contenders. Tyler Reddick, we've seen kind of fall off the radar. And again, by that, he's running 10th, which is great. But it's not your championship 4, because those are the 4 that are in there each and every week. And we just haven't seen that. But they've definitely elevated. So I see Trackhouse being able to do that. One thing I want to caution about, and we've seen this, and I was trying to get a list in my head of drivers, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, and I go back as far as Casey Atwood. Some of these drivers that we've seen in the Xfinity or other series, Corey Heim possibly, we say, oh, they got so much talent, they're going to come in. And I'm not saying don't be optimistic, but putting 7 championships under Connor Zilisch, dude hasn't even won a NASCAR Cup Series race yet. Come on. Do I think he has talent? 110%. And I want to see what he can do. If it's with Trackhouse, see what he can do with Trackhouse and whatnot. Joey Logano, and that was the biggest one that came to my head. Oh, Joey Logano, next thing since sliced bread, which I think came from Mark Martin. Oh, he's with Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to be unbeatable. When he got his first win, he was out the door at Joe Gibbs Racing. It took that maturity and change to Penske to actually become a champion. So again, let's not bring the hats to victory lane yet, if you will. I know they like to use that phrase. Do I think he's going to win Cup races? Yes. Do I think he has the capability to win a championship with whatever team he's with in this format, the way it is? I do. Look at, you mentioned SVG. Yeah, it's based on road course performance to the position he's at, but we've seen his improvement on the ovals. Is it going to be this year? Maybe not. But I think down the road, Trackhouse has a shot at competing for a championship. So, and we saw it, Daniel Suarez, trying to think, I don't know if he made it to the Final Four, but has been in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. I do think he's got a lot of talent, and I think that is one where one of you two, I don't know which one said it, and I think Sharon, you did. When you get the driver that brings talent to the team, now you get a little more support from the manufacturer, a little bit more support from sponsors, and that's what helps take that next step to becoming Hendrick Motorsports, if you will. By the way, we keep talking about that Chevrolet Hendrick Motorsports. Penske, Ford, 3 in a row. I don't know why everybody seems to. I don't know why everybody seems to. Good. I got to steal one from you finally, Sharon.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But yeah, it's Ford that's got the last 3 championships.
Yeah. Can you see that?
All right, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. If you look at the championship teams, Team Penske, 24, Team Penske, 23, Team Penske, 22, Kyle Larson, 21, Chase Elliott, 20. Then it was Joe Gibbs Racing, Team Penske in 18, Martin Truex Jr. in 17 with Furniture Row Racing. So there, I thought it was going to give me more, but you say Hendrick Motorsports, but their last championship was in 21. So we'll see what happens. Trackhouse isn't on that list yet, but we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes. But they've got 2 out of what was that? How many years was that? From 24 to 17? 3, 6,
8 years.
8 years.
Or 7? Yeah, 8.
Over 8 years, Hendrick Motorsports has 2 championships. So that's 25%. But Team Penske has 4 championships in that same period. And so that's half. That's 50%. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. And I do know, and we'll have to save this one for next week, but there is conversation going on about the possibility of tweaking the playoff system. And I don't know if it would be next year or 2 years from now, but there is conversation going on about making tweaks to the system. So we'll see what NASCAR comes up with. But just something to kind of keep in mind there. Anyway, did you have more, Jay?
Always. If Chris, did you have anything more?
You're muted.
Boink, boink.
Yeah, I really wanted to get y'all's thoughts on San Diego. Like, I know we got to go. I know it's pushing nighttime, so I would bypass anything else there just to find out what you guys, because I heard a lot of rave reviews about a place that's going to be basically on an airport tarmac. So I kind of wanted to know where you guys.
It's a naval base. Yeah.
I'll go into that. I just wanted to say on the last one though, if Sharon, you mentioned tweaks to the playoffs. Yeah, we need to, because the fans aren't happy, and we need to change it back to what it was of a season-long championship, and we changed that because they weren't happy with that. So yeah, let's please change.
I know Mark Martin is big on that, but
I know I saw that.
In favor of going back to
that. That's one of those we can't change you can't change every year to make the fans happy, because guess what, Chris? We know this. You aren't going to make everybody happy all the time, period. The San Diego deal, this is interesting, and I come from the aspect of the logistics of it. I'm all for San Diego. I think doing it on the airport and whatnot, the way from what I've read, it's going to be interesting. I know, Chris, you were one that had brought this up of what kind of scenery then do you get with it. I think it's lacking there, but it is unique in the fact that it is on the naval station. From the aspect of then fans ability to come on, enjoy, and wander around, because again, it's a road course. I don't know what ability that's going to have because you are on a military installation. And I think about that when we would have ours here at the Columbus Air Force Base, Thunderbirds Day. Yeah, you had the public could come on, but you're restricted and whatnot. That's where I wonder about the logistics. And I'm sure NASCAR and the military, the Navy, that they're working something out on how to go about it. So I'm intrigued by it, but I am a little concerned about the full ability to, how do I say this without getting, I don't know if fans can go be NASCAR fans on a military installation like they could say at Talladega. How about that? Because you are, yeah, I mean, and I say that with experience of being on a military installation. When we had that, we also had some people on the roofs that were there to take action if need be.
Let me ask you, can I ask you something, Jay?
Yeah.
You're from the military world. You said something that really made my mind go crazy because obviously I've debated whether or not federal law exceeds over state law. And in the state of California, they have recreational marijuana. And you just said you can't go to a racetrack anywhere in America anymore without smelling weed. Like you just said, what would be,
wow.
so you got air shows and stuff that you typically opened your airfields up to.
That's when we did. Yeah, it was the local air show. Yep.
So how does, alcohol and all of that, is that, where do we sit with all that? Does state law sit over federal law? Obviously there's liquor stores on bases. We have a base here in Meridian and they have their own liquor store, I believe. I know maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called a Class 6. If it's through the AFES.
Please inform us because my mind is intrigued by this actual, because as you just said, I'm thinking, how in the world are we going to do a race? What are we going to do? Just bring them in 5 minutes before the race? Because there's so many technical logistic issues with bringing civilians on a military base. So you've got the military expertise. Please, the floor is yours for a few minutes, right?
Well, and I was trying not to. And again, I don't know how they're going to coordinate it. And obviously, a major event like NASCAR, they're going to work with it, kind of like when they traveled to Mexico, just traveling into another country. When we did the air shows, like I said, you had restrictions, security forces of lining certain streets. You had to follow certain streets to get to the parking area, and they had people patrolling that. You couldn't wander off. You're going to have, I'm trying not to go, we had snipers there. All right. There were snipers located throughout, again, of the threat of something bad or if a situation develops of that. So yeah, they were there,
Right.
And like I said, and that's a community that is there to support the air show. However, you still have that threat of who could do what. We've seen that. We know that, unfortunately. And not to bash on NASCAR fans, or I specifically said Talladega, we know that can get rowdy. Yeah, right. Okay.
And so, camping and NASCAR go hand in hand. What are we doing here?
I can't answer that. If I had to guess, I would say that will not happen, but I don't know that for a fact. Again, that's beyond my realm, especially being that NASCAR is working this deal out. I would have to say, though, when we did it, there was no overnight except for the ones they found in the ditches afterwards, and they got drug out, escorted out, whatever. We had a couple that weren't found till the next morning, apparently sleeping comfortable wherever they were at. But so there is a lot more logistics to that than just a street course race. Like I said, I think it'll be interesting. I'm fully in support of it, and I know it has something to do with a celebration with the Navy.
250th anniversary.
250. Okay, I knew I had read something on that. Okay.
Let me look at it here again. I had it here.
So I think it is great that they are attempting to do this and partnering and working together. It will be interesting, like you said, Chris, and the marijuana issue, again, that's not my thing, so I hadn't even specifically gone that deep. I'm just in general, like you mentioned camping.
Right.
From what I would say and knowledge of what I know, I would say no, it's not going to be allowed, but maybe they do work something out. However, I guarantee you there's going to be people around watching you and you're going to be kept in line. And I'm not talking about
becoming unglued right now.
It's not going to be Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely not. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how that develops, because those are very specifics within what I was saying, just the logistics of it, being that it is a military compound. Right. But I appreciate NASCAR trying something different. And this one is very, very unique. Are we going to have the scenery like we had in Chicago? Obviously not, but I think it will be unique and interesting. And I'm all for it. And I hope it all works well.
Now, NASCAR said it is the 250th anniversary of the naval. How do they say it? It's a special, will coincide with the 250th anniversary of the United States Navy.
Okay, so, cool.
The naval base will become the first active military base to host NASCAR racing. The naval base encompasses 8 military facilities stretching from San Clemente Island to La Posta Mountain Warfare Training Facility. So it sounds to me like it could include some street racing and then back on the naval base where they have more flexibility to do different things. They said they're working out the actual vision of it, and all of that will be announced later this fall. It will mark the final race of Prime Video's 5-race window of broadcast coverage in 2026. Xfinity race will air on the CW and trucks, of course, on Fox. So it sounds like all 3 series will be racing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of individual meetings from the military side and the NASCAR side, as well as joint meetings and some things to be. And Chris, they need somebody like you that's just going to bring just thoughts that maybe somebody else isn't thinking of. I know they got some smart people planning this and whatnot, but like I said, I kind of lumped it together of just logistics, but you got some very pointed, specific things to think about. You know, again, glad I'm not in that role.
Well, with the street race not happening at Chicago, there's the possibility of Chicagoland coming back too. But I'm very curious about this race on the naval base for all some of the reasons that you guys have already brought up. But it sounds like it's going to be a combination street race. When they talk about 8 different facilities, are they going to be racing through all 8 different facilities? Or, how's that going to look? I don't know. It could include some street racing from what I understand from reading it. They do have a video up at NASCAR if you want to watch the video. I'm not sure if I can show this video here or not, so I'm not going to show it. But it is available over at NASCAR if you want to watch it. But it sounds, it's not a playground, they say. So,
right.
You want to check that out for sure. We lost Chris.
Uh-oh.
No.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, hopefully he comes back.
Hopefully he comes back. But I'm pretty excited about it. I just love some of the things that they're saying about it so far. They say it's still a work in progress. They're excited about celebrating the 250th anniversary. To coordinate the event, NASCAR is partnering with nonprofit Sports San Diego for operational and promotional support. Sports San Diego's focus is to drive visitor demand to economically benefit the San Diego region through producing, recruiting, supporting, and hosting world-class sports events, previously including the Super Bowl 10 games and the Major League Baseball All-Star Game and more. So it's kind of huge to have them be a part of the planning process here for the San Diego street race. I'm not going to doubt anything that NASCAR does because they've, had me doubting things in the past, but I don't doubt them anymore. I think they can make this happen, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
I was just mesmerized by the positivity turned out by the fans, not only through Twitter, but also on the Negative Nancy Sirius XM radio. Like that was a day where it was all positive calls. And it was a lot of
and a return to Southern California. We haven't been there in a while. So this is a big deal.
I just hope they're not excluding a certain fan base based off of, partying and the camping style, because all of that is what makes kind of the at-track experience fun. And so if it is completely different, then it will stand alone as the only race ever where there was actually no campfires allowed. I mean, and even tailgating, like I'm just questioning myself on all of this because typically they don't let you do anything kind of crazy on military bases. So this is all new. Hey, I'm not going to doubt
maybe they'll have camping off base with some kind of screen viewing or something. I don't know. Or maybe along the street course part of the race.
Right.
Just some thoughts.
And there is a couple of views. You'll be able to see the two of the aircraft carriers, and then you'll be able to see San Diego, the city off in the distance, and I believe a couple of beachfront shots that are going to be available. So there is going to be scenery for that.
Oh, good.
But my question, leads into play of, are we going to like carve out a street like we did at Chicago, or is this going to be kind of an open, There is going to be some racing on the naval base itself, on the tarmac. But what I'm saying is what made Chicago unique was the limitations of the street course.
Yes.
And that's going to be a big question that I have for this. Is it going to be a limited street course, or is it going to be an open? Because what we see is two totally different styles of racing. Two totally different style racing. When you have an open course like Sonoma or a closed course like Chicago, you get two totally different styles of road course racing.
Yep.
So I want to know what that's like. I want to feel what that's like.
I can't answer it for sure, just based on my knowledge of, and we've done, Sharon, help me out. I can't remember the street road racing that Mike Orzel did, because they would do that on the ramp at Columbus Air Force.
Barber School?
That is one of the ones he went to, but they did it on a monthly basis on Columbus Air Force Base as well.
Oh, okay.
I want to say SCCRA, I think is what it was, and I don't know what it stands for, but some type of streetcar racing on part of it. And that was one thing I did read, at least at this point, they do not intend to use any part of the runway for it. It would be the taxiways, or it says that you start calling it the tarmac, the ramp, but not the runway itself for your straightaways. That may change. Again, there's a lot of things that go into that as far as the rubber. Obviously, if you don't have knowledge of the runways, have some rubber on, of that matching up with NASCAR Goodyear tire rubber versus, I don't know what they use on aircraft as far as that, but you still got to protect the integrity of, I don't know. That's a curious question. I got a couple buddies that I think still work out at Columbus. I might be able to get that information, but that is one thing I saw, was at this point, their intent was not to use the runway itself. So again, there are going to be different restrictions or limitations. We'll see what NASCAR puts together. I'm very intrigued by it, especially now that Chris has put in more details in my head of that. Yeah. The one thing, and I know you're saying not limit it, but for one race, if it's not your typical NASCAR style crowd, Yeah. I mean, that's, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what kind of restrictions
I
I
would
have.
be open to that for one race. And we're talking Southern California, so not Alabama.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I was trying to.
Sorry.
Wow. Yeah. That's all you can say about that is wow. No, I mean, but Chris is right. And I use Talladega. It's maybe the most well-known, but you have that. There are some certain areas, campgrounds around Bristol, that I would not go into. I heard some of the things and stories and whatnot.
Stories there too.
Yeah, there's some certain Jello shot campgrounds. I mean, an entire camping area just for that. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll pass on that.
Read his hat. Are you trying to show me what your hat says?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I was trying to.
No, he was just looking down. No, I think it's a good thing. And like I said, I admire the fact that they're doing it in the celebration of the anniversary.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, that is a big party right there.
What?
that is a big party. I think most people show up to that one for the party and not the race itself. Yeah.
Is that the Street Stock Nationals? Yeah, I couldn't read it, but I knew what it was when you said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to stop recording if we're going to talk about the Street Stock Nationals. That's a whole different video demographic. But no, it'll be interesting to see what they work out, and I'm all for it, and I admire them for taking that step. And again, if it's a one-time thing, I know they said they expect maybe the street course in Chicago back in 2027. Mexico City was a one and done. There's good and bad with that. We'll see how that goes, but I applaud NASCAR for, again, thinking outside the box. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting to see what is developed from it, and if there is those restrictions like we talked about, and maybe for one race you have to forgo that of, hey, there just won't be that this weekend.
So if there's no partying, Chris, does that mean you're not going?
Believe it or not, my days of partying at a racetrack, I learned my lesson in 2021.
At Talladega.
Talladega. Moonshine.
Moonshine's another one. Ooh.
Yeah, and I literally probably quit getting sick about 30 minutes before the drop of the green flag. So you can only imagine, like, I've been retired since then. I go and watch other people be the party. So no, I would actually probably be, I would fit right in with the older crowd there. I'm just there to see what everybody else is willing to do. So no, I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm good with it. But I got some kids that'll sure enough go join the party. They know all about the Jello shots and all that. But we have a certain thing. What happens at Dega stays at Dega, so I'll stay shut from that point on.
Okay. Anything else we need to talk about there?
No. Looking forward to it. Just good to see the positivity. I'm glad that we're all sold. Ben Kennedy, promoter of the year, man. Promoter of the year, bringing us something different.
Yep. I really love what he's doing. I hope he keeps it up.
I will, if you allow me a couple minutes, and I'll keep it short, but I do have a story with that. Talking about a car, NASCAR on the runway. Dale Jarrett, when he drove the 88 Air Force sponsored car, was at Columbus. And our base commander, the colonel, got to drive it. And they did do a straight shot down the runway. Clearly, he didn't get the full impressiveness of NASCAR because it's not a dragster, but he had learned from Days of Thunder, because when he got out of the car, they went to check to see how high he had run the engine, and they said, "Oh, you already cleared it out." He had knew enough to clear out the tachometer. And he said he learned that from Days of Thunder, that Harry Hyde caught him by checking the switch. He knew how to clear it out.
So that tells you something all in and of itself.
Yeah, Colonel was like, "Now you ain't catching me, man. I know what I'm doing."
Yeah, but it still tells the story.
Yep. Exactly. And he's like, "No, I did not go above whatever limit you told me to, and you can't prove otherwise."
Well, okay. Did we leave anything off of our list?
Probably.
Probably. Okay.
We'll have to get them next week. The in-season bracket. I know we've had the Dodge reality show.
We didn't talk about Ram last time either.
Ty Gibbs, good, congratulations. Ty Dillon finally got the.
And the in-season challenge, yeah.
Well,
I heard something today. Did you know that Ty Dillon made a $10,000 donation to a charity? And when Ty Gibbs accepted his $1 million, he donated $10,000 to Ty Dillon's charity of choice. What's so funny?
I'll come around. Hold on.
I'm waiting.
Is it 10,000 or is it 100? I don't know if Dave Moody got mixed up.
10,000.
That's what I thought. And if you know anything based on what's over my shoulder, being that Ty Gibbs comes from the Joe Gibbs family and very Christian, the tithing, it should be 100,000 if you're giving 10%. That's where that came in. I read an article on that today. It was kind of interesting, but from what I knew, it was 10,000 was the agreement. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if then Dave just messed that up and went with 100,000. But then somebody wrote an article on that of 100,000 would be the tithe, if you will, from the Christian side of it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But as far as I know, it was 10,000, and I haven't seen what Ty Dillon's choice was. I think Ty Gibbs, if Ty Dillon won it, Ty Gibbs' choice was for that 10,000. They were both going to do that either way. Was going to be for choice for Tots. I don't know what Ty Dillon's choice was.
Well, Ty Gibbs, I thought he gave it to the charity of Ty Dillon's choice.
Right. If Ty Dillon would have won it and given Gibbs that option, Gibbs was going to give it to Choice for Tots. I know that was his choice, but he said he would give the 10,000 to Ty Dillon and it would be his choice.
So this was prearranged, is what you're saying.
Either one of them that won it was going to allow the other one the 10,000 to a charity. It was kind of a side bet wager, whatever you want to call it. Just appreciate you racing clean, and this was, you're right, prearranged with that.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. I like it.
But no. Next week, I would like just to, in general, talk more about the in-season bracket challenge as a whole.
Yeah. I saw an article over at NASCAR.com. They give, what worked and what didn't work. They have an article about that over.
Well, I'll have to check and see what they got. Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. So we'll save that for next week then. What worked and what didn't work for the in-season challenge.
But Chris said something about it. I'm getting old because it's my bedtime. I am wiped out.
Then let's do our roundtable. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, just one quick thing. Did SVG finish ahead of Gibbs or behind him?
I was going to research that. I thought about that today. I might do some research on that. Had he started in the bracket itself, where he would have. But you also got to go back and look at would he have gotten through Atlanta. You got to start with Atlanta. Would he have gotten through the Atlanta? We know he won the road courses, and then where he would have ended up. If you want to play that game of what if.
I thought you were talking about this race. You're talking about for the whole in-season bracket.
Because he wasn't eligible. He won that first road course, the second race. So there was that curiosity factor of where he would have ended up. But again, if he
Gisbergen beat Ty Gibbs at Indianapolis.
He did?
Yeah.
Gibbs was like 21st.
Gibbs finished 21st.
Wow.
All right. Hey, Sharon.
We didn't have. Yeah,
Sharon, we got
that we didn't have.
Sharon, we got a new comment here. CYTY said Ty Gibbs laid back at the end of. We talked about that of when it came down to it. If you didn't have a shot at the race win, would you race differently? And Gibbs did kind of talk about that. He felt fairly confident because he knew Ty Dillon was a lap down. But around that accident, he did say he kind of made sure he didn't get tangled up where it would become an issue. I don't know if he really laid back, but yeah, that
was down like 3 laps at the end of the race, and I think
something like that. He was, like I said, it was pretty safe, but Gibbs was trying to protect that and make sure he didn't lose that opportunity. Thank you, CYTY.
I think that's See Ya Ty. Is that See Ya Ty? Is that what your name stands for?
Yeah, I don't know breaking it down to what it stands for. Careful, Sharon, you might not want to know what it stands for.
Well, that's true too. But that's when I look at it, that's what it came to my mind.
We've been on 2.5 hours and we still got people commenting. That's
awesome.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your comments, CYTI.
Yeah. I just think that we all got
Yahoo. He says.
All right, there we go.
Yahoo.
Cowabunga, dude.
All right, we have attracted the late night partiers. All right.
I like it. Thank you so much, CYTI.
Let's go eat some pizza and watch Ninja Turtles.
So you have to come back next week. What'd you say? I missed it.
Let's go eat some pizza and watch Ninja Turtles. Binge Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
That's where Cowabunga come from. I mean, come on.
Yep, it is.
Right.
It is.
Peace out. Love y'all.
I will say, we hope you come back next week when we are back for our Hot Topic Sound Off on next Monday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time here on Fan4Racing Radio, because we'd love to hear more from you, CYTI.
Where you from?
TY. So
all right, good deal. All right, good deal. Good deal.
I love it. I don't know if it's a male or female, but we love it. So we'll look forward to having you back next week. All Sports All Day has been commenting quite a bit, and we need more interaction. So we'd love to have both of you back next week to comment. But for now,
that's about the 3rd or 4th week in a row we've had. What was it, Denver on the first week all day?
Thurston, Thurston, Denver.
All Sports All Day. Yep, has been last couple.
We've got a good group going here, man. I mean,
absolutely.
We went an hour just talking about what we thought of the Brickyard. So, mean, you know. And I thought you were going to get mad and leave the show for a minute. So I'm glad you hung in there with us, Jay.
I don't think so. Let's go.
I just plug my ear and don't listen to you. That's all.
Let's go around the horn and talk about what's happening this weekend for you, or what you're doing, Jay.
Wow.
You can follow me on Facebook, MoparMJ8, on Twitter and Instagram. My name, Michael Hoosman, on Facebook. This weekend, I think unfortunately we're supposed to race this past weekend. Mother Nature, I know Chris is shaking his head, been getting the better of us a lot lately. Our hot shot shootout, I'm not going to say, I know it's going to be rescheduled. I don't know that I have official confirmation on when, but what's that?
I can say it because I don't work for All-American 50, I think is what it's been.
It's been All-American 60, but I know that was talked about. I didn't know if that had been officially decided with the post. Terry, when he called me, had said that was kind of the plan. But regardless, Labor Day weekend is the All-American 60, which is a super late model race, as well as possibly then the rescheduled hot shot shootout, if that's where they slot it. And Chris, maybe you did get word through if I know the Why Not Kid. Did I get that right? Right? Is that the okay?
Yeah, well, actually, from one of the hot shot drivers, that's what I'd heard that was.
That is one of the possibilities. Yeah, that it certainly is one of the discussed dates. But as that gets closer and I get the official post, all they said was they had to reschedule it again due to day of dropping a bunch of precipitation. How many words can I use that I don't use the R word? But so anyway, this weekend, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, so I'm not going to try and think about it as far as this weekend.
Well, Jay and I will be back later this week.
Oh, there you go. I'll be doing that later this week. There you go. I do know that.
Iowa Speedway, 3 previews for Iowa Speedway this week.
All right, so there you go. I got that to look forward to.
Chris?
Yeah, you can find me at Flag of Caution on Twitter, Instagram, Chris Creighton Yellow Caution Flag, on Facebook and YouTube. You can find me here on Monday nights as I talk about NASCAR. You can find me at the dirt track where I don't talk about NASCAR. But our season's coming to a close. We've got the prelude to the Street Stock Nationals coming up August 2nd. They have decided that we're going to have a practice August 1st for that. So bring your Hoosiers. Make sure that we buy plenty of those before the end of the year. And August 2nd is the prelude to the Street Stock Nationals. We'll be back in 2 weeks after that. Well, actually 11 days the following, from the 13th through the 16th for the 13th annual Southern Street Stock Nationals. We'll be representing 13 to 16 states, 100 plus street stock cars. It looks like factory stock cars may close in or may actually pass the street stock car count. So we're looking at over 200 race cars for a 4-day weekend. Man, oh man. I mean, it takes a week to recover. It takes 2 weeks to recover after one of these big events, but it is sure awesome to be a part of. I'm the local announcer. You know, you can find me on Friday and Saturday night at the House of Hook every other week, and doing what I love to do, and that's talking racing and sharing my bird's eye view of what I see. Sometimes what I see ain't what other people see, I promise you.
It happens that way sometimes.
It be like that sometimes. It certainly does. Look, without telling no names, I actually had a guy sit up. I was calling the end of a race, and Jay, you'll like this one. I was calling the end of a race, and I look over, and a guy done walked into the booth. Well, I didn't say anything to him. I'm the only one in there, which is very unusual, very, very unusual that I'm the only guy in there. So I just finished doing what I was doing. Well, I look over there at him, and I was kind of like, "Can I help you?" And he was like, "You don't need to be saying that about my boy."
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's why you have a lock on the booth door. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I'll tell you about it offline. But yeah, we had a baseball game this weekend, and there was some parent action going on.
Right.
Always.
So I said, you know what, man? It's the first time in 14 years anybody's ever sat beside me and told me that. So I appreciate you coming to me. And we worked it out. And, as I said just a second ago, sometimes my bird's eye view isn't somebody else's bird's eye view. And sometimes I may get it wrong. But that's what's fun about it. Jay, I've been no means to ruffle your feathers or anything like that. It's all for good heart. I smile because I love you. I really do. I smile because I love you. I try to be a smart aleck sometimes, and it comes off and rubs people the wrong way. And I do apologize if it did.
We've got your number, Chris.
I know y'all do. Y'all know a way to tickle me up too. So it's all good, man. That's what we're here for, to have each other.
That's what makes this sport, just like any other and we got 39 different teams to root for, not just 2.
But if anybody else says anything about Jay, I'm gonna come whooping up on him because that's my boy. You know what I mean? All right.
Okay. I'm Fan4Racing site. Oh, did you have something to say, Jay?
I was just going to say, going back to one of the Street Stock Nationals, and this one we can tell on here, Donnie Ashford from Florida, one of the drivers that brings food to the announcers and everybody. I mean, they cook for as many people as want to eat. They brought some up to the booth. That is some of the best pasta salad. I know you said it, Chris.
Seafood.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay. Well, I'm Fan4Racing site on Twitter, Fan4Racing blog and radio on Facebook, as well as our website, fan4racing.com. And I apologize. I got in at 1:30 in the morning last night, slept until 8:45, and I've been on a race ever since with unpacking my car and getting everything situated. Over the weekend, about a third of my tree fell on top of my house, and it's been a lot of fun here. And then this coming weekend, I'm going to be on the interstate again and racing up towards Chicago. So I'm looking forward to that. And but I'm also going to be watching the races at Iowa Speedway, because I got to tell you, and Jay knows this, I love Iowa Speedway. And I'm really excited that the ARCA East and ARCA combination race is going to be there. Xfinity and Cup Series is going to be racing there again this week. So definitely looking forward to the racing at Iowa Speedway this weekend as well. And I can't wait to talk about it in the previews as well as our reviews next Monday. So do watch for more coming here at Fan4Racing Radio. We try to cover it all, including our live stream on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And I want to say thank you to everybody for being patient with us last week. I had some family things going on out of state, and I tell you, with all the activities they had planned, I just didn't have any time in between to do radio shows. So I appreciate you guys for being patient with me as well, and for going the radio shows last week so that I could spend the time with my family. And I'm glad to be back, though, and back in action this week. So thank you for that. So all of our previews or reviews, I should say, all the reviews from Indianapolis and LOIRP are up. And we'll be talking fantasy preview for Iowa Speedway with Taz on Friday. And then Jay and I will be doing the previews, and those should all be up then hopefully on Thursday, so that everybody has time to check out the previews before they see the racing this weekend. So thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate All Sports All Day and CYTY. Thank you for commenting in our chat room, live chat during our live stream here. And everybody else for tuning in and watching. I did a quick peek, 68 viewers.
All right.
Wow.
So yeah, at one time or another, a total of 68 people checking us out tonight. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, everybody.
Can't wait to hear from our other 73 subscribers, or 71, since we did have 2 of them on tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I gotcha. So yeah, we do appreciate you. And whether you're watching the live stream or even the replay later on, we appreciate you taking the time to check us out. So with that, guys, I think we're ready to call it a night.
All right.
Night,
Can't wait till
everybody.
next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.